In the first scene, we meet the main character, Iwatani Naofumi, who wakes up from a strange dream. Naofumi is your typical otaku. He's been given the green light to chill at home since he helped his troublemaker brother get his life together. Naofumi gets up and heads to the library to hunt for some novels. While he's browsing the catalog, a bunch of books tumble down, and he picks up one with a red cover. The book is titled, The Records of the Four Great Weapons. It tells the story of four heroes who are supposed to save the world from disaster. Each hero has a unique weapon. A sword, a spear, a bow, and a shield. Naofumi is shocked that a shield is included. Shields are for defense, not offense, he thinks. As he flips through the pages, a bright light bursts from the book, and Naofumi gets transported to a different place. Naofumi finds himself in front of some priests. He glances over and sees three other guys holding a spear, a sword, and a bow. When he looks at himself, he realizes he has a shield strapped to his arm. The priests tell them they summoned them as heroes to help fight off the disaster that's about to hit their world. Naofumi feels shy while the others are already making demands. The heroes are taken to meet the king. On their way to the palace, they finally figure out they're no longer in Japan. They're in a whole new world. The king welcomes the heroes and tells them they're in Melromark, and his name is Altkray Melromark the 32. He asks the heroes to introduce themselves. The sword hero goes first, saying his name is Amaki Ren, and he's 16. The bow hero is Kawasumi Itsuki, and he's 17. The spear hero is Kitamura Motoyasu, and he's 21. Naofumi is taken aback when the king ignores him after the others introduce themselves. He finally speaks up and tells the king he's 20 years old. The king tells the heroes about a prophecy. The world is on the brink of destruction, and they need help. He explains that the first wave of chaos has already hit, which is why they called for the heroes. They managed to hold off this first wave, but if another one comes, entire nations could be wiped out. They've got less than a month before the next wave hits. The king says they can check their status by focusing on the icon in the corner of their vision. All the heroes are still at level 1, so they'll need to go on some adventures to level up their weapons and skills. The more experience they gain, the higher their level will go. Plus, they have to recruit their own party members. The heroes learn that they can only use their legendary weapons, like the sword hero can only wield a sword. They're told to rest up, and their adventure will kick off the next day. Meanwhile, potential party members will be gathered for them to meet. That night, the four heroes discover they're all from different versions of Japan. Naofumi notices they're looking down on him since he's the shield hero. The next morning, they gather at the palace. Party members have been assembled, and they're told to pick who they want. No one chooses Naofumi from the available members. He starts to complain, and just then, a member from Motoyasu's party offers to join him. She's a cute lady, and Naofumi is shocked that someone like her wants to team up with him. The king then tells Naofumi he needs to recruit more members on his own. He also mentions that Naofumi's allowance will be way more than the others. The rest get 600 silver coins each, while Naofumi gets 800 silver coins. The crew quickly kicks off their adventure. The girl in Naofumi's party introduces herself as Mine Sophia. Their first stop is a weapon shop. The shop owner shows Naofumi a bunch of different swords. When he touches one, he feels a jolt run through him. Then it hits him that he can only use a shield. He starts to wonder how he's supposed to fight with just that. The shop owner uses some magic to check out the shield. He says it's packed with crazy power, but he can't figure out much more than that. Plus, the shield is stuck to his arm and won't come off. So, Naofumi decides to at least buy some armor. After that, Naofumi battles some balloon-like monsters to level up. They bite him, but he doesn't feel a thing. He takes down a few monsters and collects their balloon bits to sell later. Later that day, they head back to the weapon shop to get Sophia a fancy new set of gear. Afterward, they hit up a pub to grab some drinks and food. Sophia tries to flirt with Naofumi, but he keeps his cool. After a long day, he heads to his room. He's down to just 199 silver coins, which he hides in the back of his shield before crashing for the night. The next morning, Naofumi wakes up to find all his gear missing. Soldiers from the palace show up to take him to the king, who wants to see him. When he gets to the palace, he's thrown to the ground and surrounded by armed guards. He's been accused of a crime. Sophia steps up to tell the king and the others that Naofumi tried to assault her, but Motoyasu saved her. Naofumi can't believe what's happening right in front of him. Sophia also gave Motoyasu the chainmail that Naofumi bought just the day before. The king tells Naofumi that the crime he's accused of could get him the death penalty, but they won't kill him because he's a hero. Naofumi tries to defend himself and deny the charges, but everyone turns their back on him. He gets furious and demands to be sent back to his world. It's clear to him that the king, the officials, and everyone else don't respect him just because he's the shield hero. He also knows that Sophia and Motoyasu set him up to steal from him. Naofumi learns he can't go back home yet. He has to defeat the catastrophe first. He gets even angrier and shoves the soldiers away. He asks the king if he wants to lock him up or what. The king admits he can't afford to do that because the catastrophe is here, and he needs to get ready. Naofumi leaves the palace, realizing his reputation, respect, honor, and status are all messed up. The once shy and friendly Naofumi is now cold and distant. As he walks through town, people keep avoiding him. He bumps into a shop owner who initially wants to punch him, but changes his mind when he thinks Naofumi might actually be innocent. The shop owner owner gives Naofumi a green cape as a parting gift, saying it's worth 5 copper coins, and Naofumi promises to pay him back someday. Naofumi runs into some balloon monsters and takes them down. He collects the pieces and heads to a coin exchanger. The exchanger tries to pull a fast one on him, but Naofumi shows off the monsters he's hiding under his cape. He warns the merchant to let all the other traders know not to mess with him. The merchant coughs up the cash Naofumi deserves. As he strolls by the weapon shop, he tosses in 5 copper coins to pay for the cape. Naofumi keeps living his solo life. Soon, he discovers that he can upgrade his shield and even change its size and shape, as long as he unlocks the features. One night, some thugs try to mug him, but he takes them down with help from the balloon monsters under his cape. He realizes he needs a party member who can go on the offense while he plays defense. Just then, a guy in a hat approaches him and says he has the solution to his problem. He takes Naofumi to his shop and reveals he's a slave trader, offering all sorts of services. He even has demi-humans as slaves. He tells Naofumi to check out his collection and pick one. Whoever he chooses will be contracted to him and will always follow his orders. Naofumi looks around and picks the slave he wants. The slave is a demi-human, part raccoon and part human. The slave trader tries to talk Naofumi out of getting the girl, but Naofumi is set on her. He pays for her, and the trader makes the contract. He puts a seal on the girl's chest that makes her obey her master. If she disobeys, she'll feel a lot of pain from the seal. Naofumi asks her name, and she tells him it's Raftalia. He takes her, and they leave the place. He takes her to a weapon shop to get her a sword. After getting the sword, Naofumi pulls out one of the balloon monsters and tells her to take it out. She doesn't want to, but the pain from the seal forces her to comply. Finally, she gets up and takes down the monster. She earns experience points, and Naofumi gets some too. The shop owner tells him he'll also get EXP when Raftalia does. They leave the shop after that. Realizing Raftalia is hungry, he takes her to a restaurant. Before going in, she notices a sign saying they don't allow demi-humans. She hesitates, but Naofumi calls her in. She sits down, and everyone inside wonders why she's there, but no one dares to ask her about it. The waiter comes over to take their order. Naofumi makes sure to get Raftalia a really tasty meal. She digs in and enjoys it with a smile on her face. Later on, the two of them go monster hunting together. Right now, the only monsters they're dealing with are balloon monsters. Raftalia is blown away to find out that Naofumi is one of the legendary heroes. She remembers a story her parents used to tell her about the heroes, especially the shield hero. They always said the shield hero treated humans really well. Meeting the shield hero has always been Raftalia's dream, and now he's right in front of her. That night, Raftalia wakes up from a nightmare. She remembers when her parents were killed by a 3-headed monster. They pushed her into the water to keep her safe. She wakes up screaming and crying, but Naofumi quickly holds her and comforts her. The next morning, Naofumi goes to a herb shop to sell the herbs and medicines he's made. Raftalia waits outside for him. While she's waiting, she watches some kids playing ball. When Naofumi comes out, he realizes she wants a ball, so he gets her one to make her happy. He tells her she can play with it after they finish their work. After that, they rent a room to stay in. Naofumi takes care of Raftalia like she's his sister. They train together and do everything else together. Naofumi makes sure Raftalia is always by his side. While they're in the forest, they spot a rabbit, and Naofumi catches it. He tells Raftalia to take it out, but she hesitates. Naofumi then tells her he needs to get stronger for the disaster that's about to hit. He needs her help to make it happen. Raftalia remembers how the monster took out her parents, and she quickly jumps in to take down the rabbit. They head back to the weapon shop so Raftalia can snag a new weapon. Naofumi asks the shop owner if there's a place nearby where they can hunt more monsters and sell their loot. The owner suggests they check out the village of Loot. Naofumi and Raftalia soon roll into Loot. They find a trader to sell the rabbit pelt to. Naofumi then asks the trader if there's any way to make some cash. The trader tells Naofumi there's a coal pit not far away, and the ores there are worth a lot, but it's crawling with monsters since the first wave hit. After getting this info, Naofumi heads to a hut to check out his shield. He calls it out, and it shows a green energy shield. Naofumi is shocked that the shield can do that. He and Raftalia then make their way to the coal pit. They're still gathering ores when a 2-headed monster shows up. Naofumi quickly scoops up Raftalia and dives into the water below. He finds another way to climb back up. He asks her if the monster is the same one that killed her parents, but she says no. Naofumi goes after the monster and holds it down. He tells Raftalia to attack, but she struggles because of her past trauma. Naofumi tells her to get out of there while he buys her some time. Raftalia realizes she'll lose her master just like she lost her parents if she doesn't pull it together. She's not ready to lose someone close again. She faces her fear and attacks the monster. The duo manages to take it down with their teamwork. Their strategy is simple. Raftalia attacks while Naofumi defends. It's been a week since the battle in the coal pit, and Naofumi's shield has picked up a bunch of new abilities. He and Raftalia hit up the weapon shop so she can snag a better sword, and Naofumi's looking to buy some armor since he got hurt fighting a monster. Raftalia thinks armor will help keep him safe, so it's a must-have. She's been growing fast, and you can really see the changes in just a week. She picks out the sword she wants, and even manages to get the shop owner to give them a discount. Naofumi grabs some armor too, and asks the shop owner if he knows when the next wave is coming. The shop owner tells him there's an hourglass in the church counting down to the next wave. Once the last grain of sand falls, the next wave will hit. Naofumi and Raphtalia decide to check out the church for themselves. When they get there, the other heroes and their party members show up too. Motoyasu starts teasing Naofumi, which really ticks him off, but he keeps his cool. Just as he's about to leave, Motoyasu corners Raphtalia and offers to protect a beautiful girl like her. She's shocked to learn he's a hero and tells him she swore to fight for Naofumi. As they leave the church, Motoyasu asks Raphtalia if she's heard the rumors about Naofumi, but she hasn't. She looks surprised, but Naofumi doesn't want to stick around for more trash talk, so they head out. That night, Raphtalia asks Naofumi what went down between him and the heroes, but he brushes her off, saying nobody believes him anyway, and decides to stay quiet. As the countdown to the wave gets closer, Raphtalia reassures Naofumi that she'll always be his sword. She thanks him for protecting her and for the herbs that cured her illness. Just then, the last grain of sand falls in the hourglass. The sky turns red, and they find themselves in a different place. Looking out, they see the village of Lute is under attack. They rush over to help. The villagers are relieved to see one of the heroes coming to their rescue. Naofumi tells Raphtalia to evacuate the villagers while he distracts the monsters. Naofumi gets to work, drawing the attention of the monsters. He can't help but wonder why he's putting his life on the line for people he doesn't even know. He's trying to figure out how to keep the village safe. Climbing the watchtower, he rings the bell to lure the monsters in. Then, he sets the tower on fire and brings it crashing down on them. Just then, some villagers return to help Naofumi. They confidently declare they can't just abandon their home. They see how hard Naofumi is fighting to save the village and want to pitch in. Naofumi urges them to help him hold off the monsters until everyone else can get out. Suddenly, a giant monster shows up, and Naofumi tells the villagers to run because they stand no chance against it. He reminds them to think about their families. That's when Raphtalia shows up to back her master. Raphtalia drives her sword into the monster, taking it down. Naofumi tells the villagers to get out while he and Raphtalia take care of the rest. Meanwhile, the royal knights start bombarding the village, not caring that the shield hero is there. Naofumi manages to shield himself and Raphtalia from the blasts. Furious, Raphtalia wants to go after the knights, but Naofumi stops her. Another wave of monsters arrives, but Naofumi doesn't hold a grudge against the knights. He still steps up to protect them and fight the monsters. The knights and Naofumi team up to take on the monsters, also trying to push toward where the other three heroes are. Together, they manage to defeat the monsters, marking the end of the second wave. Meanwhile, the heroes feel pretty confident that the next wave will be just as easy. They start wondering where Naofumi is. The knights show up to tell the heroes that the king is waiting to reward them. Back in the villagers thank Naofumi for his help. They know they wouldn't have made it without him. Raphtalia is glad she could stop some kids from going through what she did. The hourglass in the church resets again, gearing up for another wave of attacks. That night, the king threw a party to celebrate their victory over the monsters. While everyone was having a blast, Naofumi was just chilling in a corner. He wouldn't have even shown up if it wasn't for the reward. Meanwhile, Sophia was doing her best to keep Motoyasu from talking to any other girls. She's super jealous and wants Motoyasu all to herself. Out of the blue, Motoyasu walks up to Naofumi and challenges him to a duel. Motoyasu's reason for the challenge is that Naofumi has a slave in his party. He claims a hero should be better than him. He tells Naofumi that if he wins, he can keep Raphtalia, but if Motoyasu wins, he'll take her away. Sophia is just smirking in the background, clearly knowing what's going on. Naofumi turns down the challenge and starts to leave, but the guards stop him. The king stands up to give Naofumi a hard time. He orders Naofumi to accept the challenge or face punishment. Naofumi has no choice but to accept since Raphtalia is now with the guards. She tries to tell them she's fighting for Naofumi willingly, but they're not listening. A little later, Naofumi and Motoyasu step into the arena for their duel. The rules are simple. The duel ends when one of them is pinned down with no way to escape, or if one of them admits defeat. The fight is happening right in front of the king and the Pope. Sophia keeps cheering for Motoyasu as he enters the arena. The match kicks off, and Motoyasu goes on the attack. He hits Naofumi hard, but Naofumi manages to block his moves. Naofumi lands a hit with his shield, and then unleashes the monsters hiding under his cape to attack Motoyasu and mess with him. He also traps Motoyasu in a shield prison and tells him to give up. He takes off the shield prison, and Motoyasu is already looking pretty beat. Just when he's about to throw in the towel, Sophia jumps in and zaps Naofumi with some magic. Naofumi's shocked, but it seems like nobody in the crowd cares about what's going down. Motoyasu unleashes a huge blast and hits Naofumi with it. Naofumi crashes to the ground, and Motoyasu declares himself the champ of the duel, but Naofumi manages to get back up and says he's not ready to give up. He points out that Motoyasu's crew interfered, but the audience, including the king, doesn't seem to care at all. The king claims he didn't see anything and names Motoyasu the winner of the duel. Sophia strolls over to Naofumi and starts mocking him. She tells him he's going back to fighting solo now. Just then, the king calls Sophia his daughter and refers to her as Malti. Naofumi realizes that the king and his daughter have been scheming this whole time. Sophia purposely messed him up to win favor with her favorite hero. The duel was all part of their plan. Naofumi wonders why they want him to suffer so much. His only crime was being summoned as the shield hero. He's totally lost on what to do. Naofumi gets furious and says he doesn't care what happens to the world anymore. The world he's in can go down in flames for all he cares. He manages to toss the shield away, but it comes right back to him. Naofumi realizes he's got no way out and that he's stuck in hell. Naofumi watches as the seal on Raftalia's chest gets taken off. He sees Raftalia walking away, and it shatters his heart. He drops to his knees, overwhelmed by everything that's happening. A little while later, Raftalia comes back and starts laying into Motoyasu and Sophia. She tells them she doesn't need their help because Naofumi has always had her back. Even when she was close to dying, Naofumi was there for her. She asks if any of them could take care of a slave like Naofumi does. Just then, the other two heroes walk into the arena and tell Motoyasu straight up that he lost the duel. It was super obvious that someone messed with the duel. Raftalia tries to get close to Naofumi, but he snaps at her to back off. She tells Naofumi that she believed the rumors she heard, but now she knows he's not as bad as they said. Naofumi is still fuming and tells Raftalia to leave him alone. He feels totally betrayed. Naofumi says no matter what he does, no one believes him. Raftalia then tells him she believes in him and will always come back. She reminds him how he saved those villagers with his shield, keeping them safe until the wave passed. Raftalia brings up all the good he's done. They hug, and Naofumi breaks down in tears. Motoyasu is still thinking about trying to split Naofumi and Raftalia up, but the other two heroes stop him. They manage to sort things out and get everything back on track. The next morning, Raftalia makes breakfast for Naofumi, and he really enjoys it. While handing out rewards to the heroes, the king is reluctant to give Naofumi what he deserves. He argues that Naofumi lost the duel and shouldn't get anything, but Ren and Itsuki step up for him, saying Naofumi actually won the duel if Sophia hadn't butted in. They also remind the king that Naofumi was the one who saved the village of Loot from being wiped out by monsters. After hearing all this, the king has no choice but to give Naofumi his allowance. Naofumi and Raftalia leave the palace feeling pretty good about it. Not long after, Naofumi and Raftalia head back to the slave merchant to get her slave crest fixed. Naofumi thinks it's unnecessary, but Raftalia insists it represents the trust her master has in her. The slave trader is impressed with how Naofumi has treated Raftalia since he got her. She's looking way healthier now. They spot a crate of eggs on the trader's table, and Naofumi asks what's up with that. The trader explains they're monster eggs, and if they pay a certain amount, they'll get a monster chick guaranteed. If raised right, it'll double in value. These chicks are called Filolio, the big birds that pull carriages around town. Naofumi ends up buying one of the eggs. In the next scene, the herb shop owner gives Naofumi a book filled with different herbs and medicine recipes. Someone from Loot Village sent it to him as a thank you for saving them. The owner also tells him to check out the magic store because they have something for him too. When he gets there, the owner hands him a grimoire packed with magic spells he can learn. While the other heroes get crystal balls to help them learn magic easily, Naofumi has to figure it out from the grimoire. To make things tougher, he doesn't know how to read the language in this world. He wishes he had a skill that could translate the words for him. Raftalia suggests they hit the books together. Naofumi thinks it's a solid plan since they've got a whole month before the next wave rolls in. They decide to crash for the night in Loot Village, wake up early, and start grinding. In the middle of the night, Naofumi wakes Raftalia to let her know the egg is hatching. The bird instantly bonds with Naofumi and starts following him everywhere. He names the bird Philo, and in just 2 days, it grows like crazy. Not long after, Naofumi and Raftalia hear that knights are rolling into the village. Sophia and Motoyasu are with them. Sophia's got a royal decree in hand. Turns out, Motoyasu has been named the ruler of the area. They're also going to charge 50 silver coins every time someone enters or leaves the village. The villagers start grumbling because that fee is just too much. Naofumi jumps in to speak for the villagers, saying there's no way they can afford that kind of cash. The villagers back him up, and their complaints get louder, reminding everyone that it was the shield hero who had their backs when they needed help. Just then, Sophia pulls her sword on the villagers. At the same time, some folks in masks and hoodies show up. They hand Sophia a scroll to read. From their vibe and how they talk, Naofumi figures they're pretty important. Sophia then tells Naofumi to fight them for control of the village. He's hesitant at first, but the villagers plead with him to think it over. They remind him that if he doesn't step up, the village will fall under Motoyasu's rule. The challenge is a race between Naofumi's bird and Motoyasu's dragon, going 3 laps around the town. The race kicks off, and Things are looking great for Philo and Naofumi. But then, Motoyasu's crew starts cheating by digging holes on the track. Naofumi and Philo dodge all the obstacles and end up winning the race. Sophia isn't happy about the outcome, but with the hooded folks around, she has to deal with it. The hooded people reveal they knew Motoyasu's team was trying to mess with the race. Turns out, Naofumi's magic skills are all about support and healing, while Raphtalia has dark and light magic. Sophia realizes she can't talk her way out of this and decides to leave. Motoyasu also walks away in shame but is still set on getting back at the shield hero. As a reward, the villagers hook Naofumi up with a carriage. Philo will be pulling it from now on. While they're on the road, Raphtalia gets car sick, so they have to take a break. Naofumi tells her to figure out how to deal with the motion sickness since they'll be riding in carriages a lot. Naofumi now has a trader's pass, letting him visit any village or town without fees. This will really help them on their journey to fight monsters and level up. The next morning, Naofumi wakes up to find a naked girl sleeping on his lap. He freaks out and starts wondering where she came from. Not long after, we find out that the girl is actually Philo. Turns out, Philolials have queens and kings among them, and these royals blend in with the regular Philolials. Philo is a queen, and queens can transform whenever they want. They're known as one of the transforming types. Naofumi and Raphtalia decide to take Philo to a slave trader to get a taming crest for her too. It's a bit tricky, but they manage to get the crest on her. Philo is still at level 19, but she's already pretty strong. Naofumi wonders how powerful she'll be when she hits level 70. After that, they take Philo to a weapon shop to see if they can find some clothes that won't rip when she transforms. The shopkeeper sends them to a tailor who can help. She asks if they have any magic threads, which are needed for the kind of clothes they want. The tailor promises to make Philo the cutest dress ever. They head to a magic shop to get the magic thread, but the owner tells them it'll take a few days to get it. While they're there, Philo spots a crystal ball and wants to know what it is. They test her magic with the ball and discover she has wind affinity, so they'll have to wait a few days before Philo can get her new outfit. As they're traveling, they see a guy who looks totally worn out. He needs to get to the next town ASAP to deliver some medicine. Naofumi offers to help him out, saying he can pay back later with goods or cash. Naofumi disconnects Philo from the carriage and whisks the guy to his destination in no time. Raphtalia stays behind to watch the carriage. Naofumi and the man arrive and deliver the medicine to his sick mom. Naofumi tells the guy to grab him some water, and while he's gone, he uses his magic to heal the woman. The guy hands Naofumi some potatoes worth a silver coin as payment. Naofumi realizes he can make some extra cash by helping people out. He heads back to Raphtalia and the carriage. In the next few days, Naofumi keeps helping folks in need, and he's starting to get pretty popular around the area because of his skills. One day, an accessory trader catches a ride with Naofumi and his crew, but soon after, they get stopped by a gang of crooks who demand Naofumi hand over the trader. The crooks think they can take Naofumi and his team because they claim to have a beefed-up bodyguard. They quickly learn they're no match for Naofumi and his crew. Raphtalia and Philo take down the crooks and their so-called bodyguard in one swift move. The crooks end up tied up and confess that someone paid them to mess with the trader and steal his stuff. Naofumi asks the trader what he wants to do with the crooks, and he says he'll just turn them over to the guards for punishment. The crooks threaten to twist the story when they get to the guards, sure that the guards will believe them over the shield hero. Hearing this, Naofumi makes it clear he'll take them out if they try anything. The crooks start begging for their lives, even promising to buy their freedom. So, Naofumi easily loots the bandits and takes everything they have as payment. The accessory trader is impressed with how Naofumi handled things and promises to share more tips about trades and business deals. He shows Naofumi how to craft gemstones and gives him some valuable knowledge and connections. Meanwhile, the other three heroes are off doing their own thing. Not long after, Naofumi finds out about a spot where he can get gemstones used for making magic threads. Naofumi, Raphtalia, and the magic store owner head to the mine where the gemstones are. No one has been there since monsters took over. As they explore the cave, the lamp suddenly goes out, leaving them in total darkness. A voice fills their heads with negative thoughts, but the magic woman casts a spell to break the hallucination. They turn the lamp back on and move deeper into the cave. Eventually, they reach the spot where the gemstones are. There's a serpent and a monster cat guarding the gems. With some teamwork, they manage to defeat the monsters, but Raphtalia gets hurt in the process. It's just a minor injury, so her master helps her bandage it up. They grab the gems and take them to the tailor, who uses them to make magic threads. She crafts a beautiful dress for Philo, and when Philo transforms inside the house, the dress stays perfect. Next up, Naofumi and his crew roll into a village that's totally being taken over by these crazy vines. The villagers are freaking out because they're about to lose their home to these plants. Some of the vines even morph into monsters and start attacking folks. They've called in a bunch of adventurers for help, but nobody's been able to do anything. Then, the village leader shows Naofumi a group of people who've been hit hard by the vines. Naofumi is shocked to find out that these vines are parasitic and are actually eating away at the bodies of the infected. They plead with Naofumi to save their people. Now Naofumi's got a rep as the local hero. He tells the village head that he's not sure he can can heal them, but then he uses his magic and some medicine, and it actually works. The vines on the infected disappear in no time. After he heals everyone, Naofumi is about to bounce, but the villagers beg him to take out the monster vine that's wrecking their village. They spill the tea that Motoyasu was the one who brought the seed into town, claiming it was a miracle seed that makes everything grow super fast. At first, they were stoked about it, but then the vine went totally out of control. They mentioned that the seed was created by an alchemist ages ago, but was sealed away. Naofumi can't believe that Motoyasu would dig up a sealed seed and unleash it just to call it a miracle. The villagers offer to pay Naofumi if he agrees to deal with the monsters. He's fed up with cleaning up Motoyasu's mess, but he can't say no to the cash. They reach the source of the vine, and a brawl kicks off. Naofumi's got some herbicide with him, planning to take out the monster vine. They keep hacking at it, but it just keeps coming back. Philo and Raftalia go all out against the vine. After a few minutes of fighting, Naofumi finally finds a spot to pour the herbicide. The vine weakens right away and starts to dry up. They also smash all the seeds the vine produced. The next morning, Naofumi uses his skills to tweak the vine's biology. He makes it so the fruits are edible, which will help feed the village and ease their worries about hunger. Naofumi sells the seeds for some goods, then takes those goods to the accessory trader. The trader asks for his help with a job. There are hot springs in a nearby town, along with some inns, and he wants Naofumi to deliver some goods there. Naofumi is surprised to learn there are hot springs in this world too. After dropping off the goods, Naofumi and his crew decide to enjoy the hot springs themselves. Raftalia is worried that Philo is getting too cozy with Naofumi. She wishes she could be close to him too. Naofumi is always looking after Philo. If he's not brushing her hair, he's doing something else for her. Raftalia starts brainstorming how to change things up. She remembers her mom giving her dad a gift that made him love her more. She figures that a gift is the first step to love. That night, she heads to the mountains to find some rare crystals that are said to be super powerful when it comes to love. Just then, she hears Philo's voice behind her. Philo spills the beans that she's also on the mountain to snag some rare eggs for Naofumi. If she can pull it off, and he digs them, he'll like her more, and maybe even hook up with her. Raftalia catches the word mating, and realizes that Naofumi's attention has turned into a competition between the two. Philo races to the top of the mountain, and Raftalia follows right behind. While they're running, Philo isn't watching where she's going and almost tumbles off the mountain. Raftalia tries to save her, but they both end up falling together. Luckily, something breaks their fall. Turns out, it's a monster boar. It chases them, but they manage to escape without a scratch. The next morning, they finally reach the bird's nest to grab the eggs and the crystal. Just as they're about to get the crystal, the wild boar shows up again. It attacks the nest, making them lose all the crystals and eggs. They get mad and take down the boar instead. On their way back to town, two guys approach them, offering to buy the boar for a hefty price. After cashing in, they use the money to buy a tool to help Naofumi with his crafting. They tell him the tool is a little thank you gift. He appreciates it in return. One day, Naofumi and his crew run into some travelers. They tell him they're from a village nearby that's been hit hard by a plague, and it's taking everyone down. Naofumi and his party hop on their carriage and head straight to the village. When they arrive, the first villager they see seems to recognize them and rushes off to tell the village doctor that the savior has arrived. Naofumi just plans to drop off some medicine and bounce, but he ends up sticking around to use his magic to ease the symptoms of the sick folks. They feel a lot better, but he knows it's just a temporary fix. The nurse looking after the villagers tells Naofumi they think the wind from the monster-infested mountains is causing the plague. About a month ago, the sword hero went up there to take down a dragon that was nesting. After that, an adventurer tried to collect the dragon's body, but ended up falling and dying. Not long after, a bunch of people started getting sick. They think the rotting dragon is leaking some kind of poison into the air. They would have gone up to the mountain themselves to deal with the carcass, but it's crawling with monsters. Plus, regular adventurers can't even get close because of the awful smell in the area. It's made the place super dangerous to visit. Naofumi agrees to help out and tells his party to get ready too. However, he talks pretty harshly to the villagers. Raftalia figures out it's part of Naofumi's strategy to make sure nobody likes him. They put on face masks as they get closer to the mountain to keep themselves safe. They manage to dodge the monsters along the way. When they finally arrive, they're about to start taking the dragon apart when it suddenly comes back to life as a zombie dragon. Naofumi wants everyone to bail, but Philolials and dragons can't stand each other, so Philo charges at the dragon without a second thought. The dragon keeps spewing poison breath, and Naofumi realizes it'll be a bigger mess if they don't take it down right then and there. He can handle the poison, but he's worried about Raftalia, who's already coughing from it. He's still trying to rein Philo in when the dragon swallows her whole. Naofumi feels crushed, thinking he's about to lose everything again. In a surge of emotions, Naofumi lets the hatred he's been holding inside fuel him, remembering how he's been treated since arriving in this world. He taps into some seriously powerful powerful magic that lets him stand up to the dragon. But Raphtalia sees that this power could mess with his mind and make him lose himself. She tries to bring Naofumi back to reality. He manages to regain control, but Raphtalia is already super weak. He tries to heal her, but her magic isn't working. Naofumi knows that the hate magic is the only way to beat the dragon, but he has to keep his mind clear of that hate. He's at a loss for what to do when, out of nowhere, the dragon crashes to the ground and dies. Thanks to his magic, Raphtalia wakes up, but she's really weak. Then Philo bursts out of the dragon, revealing that she's been tearing it apart from the inside. She also found a purple crystal inside the dragon that seems to be its crystal. She ate the crystal. Raphtalia starts to feel weaker, and Naofumi knows they need to get her out of there fast and give her some medicine. Raphtalia tells him not to stress about her and to handle the dragon's body first. After breaking the dragon's curse, they take Raphtalia back to the village. Naofumi asks the doctor to heal her and do whatever it takes. The doctor says Raphtalia's situation is serious, and they don't have enough holy water to lift the curses on her. Not long after, Raphtalia feels a lot better after getting proper care, but they still need holy water to get rid of the curses. Philo then hands Naofumi the mana crystal from the dragon. He puts it in his shield to make it stronger, but he realizes his level isn't high enough yet. He knows the shield's power he used against the dragon isn't in the upgrade tree. If he kept using it, he could have hurt Raphtalia, and even Philo, who was inside the dragon. He apologizes to them for being reckless, but the duo tells him not to blame himself, and that they share some of the responsibility too. The three of them are happy that they're getting stronger every day. After a successful mission, Naofumi tells Raphtalia they need to head back to the capital. He's worried about her health and wants to grab some strong holy water to make sure she's fully healed before they take on more missions. Just then, they spot some Philolials crowding around a girl. They step in, and the birds scatter. The girl is shocked to see a Philolial as big as Philo, and even more surprised when she finds out Philo can talk. She shares that she's always wanted to chat with a Philolial, and gives Philo some dried meat to munch on. Then she introduces herself as Melty. Naofumi notices she's dressed nicely, and figures she might be a noble's daughter. Philo transforms into her human form, which blows Melty's mind even more. Naofumi tells Philo she can hang out and play with her new friend until evening, but she needs to be back before sunset. Later that evening, Melty and Philo come back together. Melty says she needs the hero's help, and learns that Naofumi is heading to the royal capital, so she wants to tag along. She got separated from her guards while playing with the Philolials earlier. Naofumi starts to think about whether to help her or not. He knows he could score a reward if she's really a noble's daughter, but there might be issues since he's the one bringing her back. Raphtalia convinces Naofumi to help the girl because she's got no one else to turn to. Naofumi then tells Melty she'll have to promise a reward. Melty agrees to ask her dad for a reward for the group. Meanwhile, one of the masked figures is hiding in a tree nearby, watching Naofumi and his crew. The next day, the crew heads to the capital. While camping for the night, Naofumi realizes Melty is missing. He tells Raphtalia, and they start searching for her. They wake up Philo, who spills the beans that Melty is snoozing in her feathers. Raphtalia touches Philo's feathers and finds them super soft and comfy. She ends up resting on Philo and dozes off. Naofumi starts to wonder if Philo's feathers have some kind of sleep magic. Not long after, they arrive at the capital. Naofumi tells Philo to take Melty home and make sure to grab the reward. He and Raphtalia head to the church, where they meet the Pope. He comments on Naofumi's duel with Motoyasu, saying the odds were totally against him, but he still held his ground. Naofumi isn't there for chit-chat, he's there for their strongest holy water. The Pope says he needs to make an offering first, and the water costs 1 gold coin. Raphtalia thinks it's too pricey, but Naofumi doesn't care as long as it helps her out. The first bottle they get isn't up to par, and Naofumi figures it out with his scanning vision. The Pope scolds the disciple who brought the bad water, and she goes to fetch the good stuff. Naofumi and Raphtalia leave right after he confirms it's legit. After leaving the church, Naofumi spots a guard running toward him. He tells Raphtalia to run, and they take off together. He suggests they split up since the guard is probably after him. After they split, Naofumi bumps into Motoyasu, who attacks him and demands that Naofumi free the slave girl with her. Naofumi thinks Motoyasu is talking about Raphtalia, but Motoyasu hits him with a surprise, saying he actually means Philo. He goes on about Philo's looks and charm, claiming he wants her for himself. Even though they're in a public spot, Motoyasu keeps coming at Naofumi. Just then, the guard who was chasing Naofumi earlier shows up to try and break it up, but Sophia arrives and drops a bombshell. She has a decree that makes the fight between Motoyasu and Naofumi official. Motoyasu is ready to keep going when Melty shows up with a bunch of guards. Turns out, she's Sophia's little sister, which means she's a princess too. She gives her sister and Motoyasu a hard time for putting innocent people at risk, and threatens to spill the beans to their mom about Sophia's antics. Right then, Philo and Raphtalia show up. Motoyasu bolts after Philo, asking her to come with him, not realizing she's the one who usually turns into that big bird. Philo transforms into her bird form, and kicks Motoyasu away. Sophia tells the guards to take Motoyasu to a doctor. Once Sophia and the spear hero are gone, Melty tells Naofumi she needs to talk to him. They head to a weapon shop for some privacy. She spills that she's next in line for the throne and is ahead of her sister because her sister's always been a troublemaker. She tells Naofumi she has no clue he's the shield hero and has something important to share. Just as she's about to keep talking, Naofumi cuts her off, saying he can't trust anything she says. Naofumi can't trust anyone who's royal. They've betrayed him and treated him so badly that he sees them all the same. He pushes Melty away, and she has no choice but to leave. As she goes, she remembers how her mom sent her to the capital to talk to the king about how he treats the shield hero. She's bummed that she won't get to explain things to Naofumi. After she leaves, Philo gets really sad that Naofumi chased Melty off. Raftalia thinks Naofumi is being distant because Melty is royalty. Philo is heartbroken over her friend's departure and steps outside to mope. While Philo is outside, that guard from earlier shows up with a couple of others. She excitedly runs back into the shop to tell Naofumi he has visitors. Just as Naofumi is about to send them away, the knights say they're there to join him on his adventure. They saw how he fought during the last wave and want in on that action. They mention they're from the village of Loot and even have a mage with them. They want to repay him in any way they can. Then, Naofumi shows them a pendant, saying it's worth 150 silver pieces. He wants them to buy it to prove they're serious. If they can gather the silver, he'll accept their offer. Naofumi is just trying to be tough on everyone he meets. After that, the shop owner tells Naofumi, Philo, and Raftalia that they can now level up their classes. Naofumi tells Raftalia to choose something that'll help her survive, even when he's not around. He reveals he plans to go back to his world after the waves. Raftalia feels crushed to hear that Naofumi will leave once everything's done. They soon arrive at the church where they'll upgrade. Naofumi is shocked to learn that a class upgrade costs 15 gold coins. He tells Raftalia to go first and that Philo can upgrade next time. Just then, the nuns drop a bombshell. They won't let the hero's crew level up. Naofumi and his gang storm out of the hourglass, fuming. They head over to the slave trader's place. Naofumi tells him they're getting blocked from upgrading their party members. The trader then spills the tea that there are other countries where they can get the upgrades. He mentions places like Mercenary Nation, Zeltobe, the demi-human country Siltvelt, and Schildfrieden. The slaver thinks Schildfrieden is their best bet. It'll take them a month to get there by wagon, so they'll have to hold off until after the next wave. The trader hooks Philo up with some sharp wyvern talons as weapons. To try out her new gear, the slaver has a job for them: clear out the monsters in the city's sewer system. Before long, Naofumi and his crew finish off the monsters. Philo can't stop raving about how awesome the talons are. That night, Raftalia tries to find out when Naofumi plans to leave, but Philo totally ruins the vibe. Naofumi has to push the two of them to hit the hay. He's also working on some gifts for them while they snooze. The next morning, they dive back into trading. They run into some refugees from the north, and Naofumi tells his crew to whip up a kitchen right away to help the people out. The refugees share that the hero with the bow helped them kick out their king, but things have been rough for them ever since. Naofumi and his crew quickly head back to the nearest town to gear up for the next wave, which is set to hit in about 27 hours. Ren and Itsuki are chilling in the same tavern as Naofumi. Itsuki walks over to Naofumi, and Naofumi takes the chance to ask him if he was the one who helped out the folks in the north with their revolution. Itsuki confirms that he was. Naofumi then tells the two heroes that he's been the one cleaning up all the messes they've made during their adventures, including dealing with the dragon they killed and just left to rot. He storms out of the tavern, telling them to quit making such a mess. The weapon shop owner tells Naofumi that he's embedded the crystal they got from the dragon into his armor's breastplate, which has an auto repair feature. Just then, the guards show up with the 150 silver pieces Naofumi requested. He hands them the pendant and tells them to keep the cash, suggesting they treat themselves to something nice. He's automatically accepted them into his party and warns them not to try anything clever with him, or they'll definitely regret it. Meanwhile, Melty's mom is telling one of the masked people to keep an eye on her daughter and Naofumi's crew. She says it's Melty's job to figure out how to calm Naofumi down, which is a skill she needs to develop as the next ruler of the country. Just then, the next wave of disaster hits. So, Naofumi hooks up his crew with some handmade jewelry to boost their stats right before the wave hits. He gives Raftalia a piece to help her mana regeneration, and Philo gets one to amp up her agility. Once they're all set, they get teleported to the village where the wave is about to crash. The guards from Loot Village who joined them earlier are also there. This is the same place where Naofumi helped that sick old lady, and he's totally shocked to see her fighting off monsters like it's no big deal. He can't help but wonder what he fed her. After securing the village, Naofumi and his crew have to bounce because the wave is dragging on longer than usual. They need to figure out what's going on. They head to where the wave is hitting hardest and spot Itsuki blasting away at this huge monster ship floating in the the air. Itsuki tells them that Motoyasu and Ren are on that ship. Philo swoops in, carrying Naofumi and Raphtalia, and jumps onto the ship to help out. The boss on the ship is the Skull Captain, and he's level 49, which is pretty high. Naofumi notices the heroes are bickering instead of focusing on how to take down the enemy. They can't agree on who to attack first, one suggesting one thing while another's throwing out a different idea. Naofumi gets on their case for taking too long to deal with the wave. He reminds them that if they don't wrap this up soon, the monsters will just keep coming, making it tough for him to protect any village. He's super mad at them for treating everything like a joke. Then he tells Raphtalia to use her light magic. With that, they can spot the shadows of the Soul Eaters on the ship and take them out pretty easily. But a few Soul Eaters keep popping up. Just when they thought things couldn't get worse, a dimensional Soul Eater shows up to make their lives even harder. Motoyasu tries to hit it with his lightning spear spell, but it doesn't even phase the monster. They realize the Soul Eater is way tougher than they thought. Naofumi tells Philo to use wind magic to try and push the Soul Eater back so they can hit it from a distance, but the Soul Eater fights back with some serious blasts. Naofumi uses his shield to protect his team, but the other heroes get knocked down. Naofumi and his crew step it up and go after the monster. Philo uses her trickster magic to split herself up and attack from different angles. Raphtalia jumps in to fight too, and Naofumi makes sure they're all protected. He knows their plan can take down the monster, but they've got to move fast or the village is in trouble. Naofumi tells Raphtalia he has no choice but to use the raid shield. He feels bad about it, but she totally gets it. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to win. When he activates the raid shield, he realizes it's not just his own anger fueling it anymore. He's tapping into the dragon's rage he absorbed earlier, and that's way more powerful than his own. As his face turns red, Philo gets caught up in the rage too. She gets stronger and charges at the Soul Eater, knocking it down while Naofumi keeps pushing it with his shield. The other heroes are shocked at how strong and fierce Naofumi has become. Raphtalia is giving the heroes a hard time for just standing around while Naofumi puts it all on the line to take down the monster. It's Itsuki and Ren who step up first to back Naofumi, while Mutiyasu is still holding back. Sophia is also telling him not to help Naofumi. After a lot of pressure, the trio finally decides to join forces to assist the shield hero. Naofumi is on the verge of losing it to his anger, but Raphtalia's touch brings him back to reality. He then unleashes some serious magic to activate the shield prison and trap the monster inside. He uses a piercing spell to hit the monster hard and finally take it down. Everyone watching is left speechless as Naofumi shows off his strength. The other heroes can't believe the shield is even more powerful than they thought. They're saying the shield is basically a cheat. Just when they're still celebrating their win, another Soul Eater shows up, and it totally shocks them. Out of nowhere, the Soul Eater gets attacked from above by someone they don't recognize. The attack takes the Soul Eater out super easily. She calls the heroes weaklings for struggling against mid-tier monsters like the Soul Eaters. Then she says only one person among them deserves to be called a hero. She asks for the shield hero's name, but he tells her to introduce herself first. She reveals her name is Glass, and warns the group to see her as their enemy. She adds that the real battle of the current wave is just about to kick off. The shock of Glass taking down the monster in one hit has everyone on edge. She tells Naofumi to hit her, but he just stands there, trying to figure out what's going on. Naofumi even wants to check her level, but there's no way to do that. Glass says something that sets off Motoyasu and the other two heroes. They launch their strongest attacks at her, but it doesn't phase her at all. She looks totally fine. Then she casts a spell and hits the trio with it. They can't handle her attacks and get thrown across the floor. Naofumi chugs a potion to quickly recover his SP. He tries to trap Glass in a shield prison, but she breaks out like it's nothing. Naofumi and his crew go after Glass with a bunch of attacks, but she easily deflects everything. They even summon a magic snake to bite her, but it seems she's immune to the venom. Naofumi realizes things are getting serious when Glass slices Raphtalia's sword in half. He tells everyone to get behind him and creates a shield prison around himself and his team. Glass's attacks bounce off the shield, but she still manages to destroy it. Raphtalia and Philo hit the ground after the blast, but Naofumi is still standing. Even Glass is surprised he's still up after her last hit. She's trying to get Naofumi to use the Rage Shield against her. Raphtalia gives Naofumi the green light, and he activates the Rage Shield. Philo powers up too and charges at Glass, but Glass easily knocks her down. Naofumi attacks Glass, but she just brushes off his hits. She hits him with a powerful spell, but he holds his ground. She admits she's impressed with Naofumi's defenses and that he's living up to his hero title. However, she wants him to show her what he's really got. Naofumi then activates the same spell he used to take down the Soul Eater earlier. He tosses Glass into the shield prison and goes after her with the sharp edges of the Iron Maiden. Naofumi thinks he finally has Glass cornered, but he's shocked when she easily breaks free from the spell. Realizing they can't take her down right now, He tells Raftalia to use light magic to blind Glass. Philo seizes the moment to carry them off the ship, but Glass keeps launching long-range attacks at them. She decides to leave Naofumi alone until their next showdown, assuring him that the wave will win the war. Then, she vanishes, and the waves disappear with her. The sky goes back to its normal color. Naofumi starts to wonder what these waves really are. He thought they'd be world-ending disasters. He knows he needs to get stronger before the next attack and find more monster fragments to upgrade his shield. Philo and Raftalia need upgrades too. After that, Naofumi gets called to the palace to meet the king. The king admits Naofumi did a solid job taking down the wave's boss. He saw everything through the crystal ball, but now he wants to know how Naofumi got so strong. Naofumi isn't ready to spill any secrets. He even tells the king to kneel if he wants to know how he got his power. None of the guards dare to approach Naofumi because he could easily take them out, including the king. He says he just wants to beat the waves and go home. The king threatens to hurt his friends, and Naofumi dares him to try. He promises to chase the king to the ends of the earth and make his life miserable. The king screams in frustration as Naofumi leaves the palace, knowing there's nothing he can do to stop him. As he walks out, Naofumi passes a woman who warns him to be careful. After that, Melty heads to the throne room to talk to her dad about making peace with the shield hero. She tells him that the shield hero is crucial for their country's survival. Just then, Sophia shows up and totally kills the vibe. Melty tells her dad she wants what's best for the nation, and leaves respectfully. We see her meeting up with the woman who spoke to Naofumi earlier. Meanwhile, a guard is keeping an eye on them. Later on, Naofumi tells the weapon shop owner he wants to travel to Shieldfrieden to level up his party members. The shop owner helps them pack up all their stuff, and soon they're on their way. He even gives them some gifts to help out, including a new sword for Raftalia. While Naofumi and his crew are taking a break, Melty and her guards show up. Melty tries to persuade Naofumi to go back to the capital and patch things up with the king. She points out that the hero and the king can't be beefing when the country's in trouble. Naofumi is still mulling this over when he spots one of the guards charging at the princess with his sword, trying to take her out. He quickly pulls Melty out of harm's way just in time. The knight accuses Naofumi of holding the princess hostage. One of the knights is recording the scene with a crystal ball, while the others engage Naofumi and his crew in a fight. Naofumi manages to protect the princess, and after a while, the knights decide they've had enough and retreat. The footage is then edited and broadcasted across the nation to make it look like Naofumi is the one holding the princess captive. Because of this, Naofumi and his party are labeled as wanted criminals. To stay under the radar, they hide out in the forest. During the attack, they capture one of the knights, and Naofumi plans to interrogate him. Naofumi discovers a rosary on the knight. Raftalia explains that the rosary comes from the Three Heroes Church, which honors the heroes of the sword, spear, and bow. Naofumi suspects the king is involved in the whole mess, but Melty defends him, saying her father might not be guilty. She believes her sister could be the real mastermind behind everything. Naofumi isn't convinced that the king is innocent, but Melty thinks differently. She encourages Naofumi to give her dad another chance. Naofumi then tells the group he's decided to leave the country and already has a destination in mind. He asks Melty to come with them since it's risky for her to return to the capital. He promises to keep her safe if she sticks with them, and Melty agrees to stay. The next morning, the group sets off on their journey. They ditch their wagon and hike up into the mountains. While taking a break, Raftalia asks Naofumi why he picked Siltvelt out of the 3 countries they could go to. He reveals he's done his homework. The borders to Siltvelt are heavily guarded, which makes him think there's a specific reason they don't want them getting in. That's why he chose this country. That night, Melty expresses her confusion about why the king is treating the shield hero so coldly. She mentions that the queen had told him earlier to treat Naofumi better, but he's ignoring that advice. Naofumi is shocked to realize that the queen holds more power than the king. The king married into the royal family, which is why the queen is in charge. Early the next morning, the crew hit the road again. The guards are right on their heels, making it tough to shake them off. As they navigate the tricky mountain paths, Melty nearly takes a tumble, which catches the guards' attention. Naofumi and the gang start to bolt, but they quickly find themselves trapped. The other 3 heroes and the knights have them cornered, demanding that Naofumi let go of the princess he's got. Melty chimes in, saying she's totally fine and that Naofumi isn't holding her against her will. She explains that she asked Naofumi to take her along and keep her safe, revealing that all this chaos is part of a wicked scheme by someone dangerous. After hearing this, the heroes chill out a bit. They don't show any hostility until Sophia shows up and flips the script. She claims Naofumi's shield has a brainwashing power that lets him control anyone he meets. She even says she brainwashed her own sister. This gets the heroes all riled up again. Naofumi tries to explain that they wouldn't be in this mess if his shield really had those powers, but they're not having it. They insist he hands Melty over, but she's not ready to go because she knows she'll be offed before reaching the capital. Naofumi then tells the heroes that Sophia is out to kill her sister so she can snag the crown princess title for herself. Philo turns into her bird form, and the group tries to make a run for it, but Motoyasu shoots her in the leg, turning her back into a human. He had an alchemist whip up something to keep her from transforming. The group gets cornered, and Naofumi has no choice but to activate the raid shield since it's turned into a full-blown fight. Naofumi and his crew manage to team up and break free from their attackers. He blows up the road with his shield, trusting that Ren will figure out what's really going on. He tosses the rosary they found on the night to Ren and walks off. After they escape, Naofumi breaks the magic bracelet on Philo's ankle so she can transform whenever she wants again. Just then, one of the masked figures shows up. Melty tells everyone to chill because she's with the espionage squad known as the Shadows, who work directly for the Queen. From what she says, Naofumi realizes that the masked woman is the same one who passed him in the palace and warned him to be careful. She tells Naofumi that the Queen wants to see him to talk about the chaos happening in the country. The Queen is somewhere opposite of Siltvelt. Suddenly, they spot a fire burning in the distance, and standing right in the middle of it is Sophia. The group figures out that Sophia is probably trying to smoke them out, which is why she set the forest on fire. They quickly move away before the flames spread too much. The next morning, Naofumi realizes it's going to be tough to reach Siltvet, and the only way forward is to follow the Shadow Agent's advice. They need to meet with the Queen, he says. Soon, they arrive in an area where demi-humans are basically treated like slaves. They're overworked and treated like garbage. Melty mentions she knows someone in the area. Just then, the local lord, Reichnaut, shows up. Naofumi gets a weird vibe from him. Reichnaut tells the group to follow him to his mansion. Once they get to Reichnaut's place, he says the knights informed him that they might want to pass through his territory. He also heard they were the ones who started the fire to cover their tracks. Naofumi quickly denies this, saying it's a lie. He explains that Sophia started the fire to flush them out. Reichnaut gets it and doesn't push back. After that, they bring out food for the group. Philo is about to dig in, but Naofumi stops her, saying he doesn't trust Reichnaut yet. He comments on the food, suggesting it might be poisoned. To prove there's nothing to worry about, Reichnaut takes a bite of the food. Once he does, Philo and the others dive in and start eating like there's no tomorrow. After they finish eating, Reichnaut hooks them up with a cozy room to crash for the night. Naofumi's not feeling it though. He thinks something could go down while they're snoozing. Raphitalia steps up, saying she'll keep watch while Naofumi catches some Z's. Melty and Philo take the chance to check out the mansion. Meanwhile, the king is freaking out about his daughter. He can't handle the thought of losing her. Sophia keeps telling him everything's gonna be alright and that they'll find Melty. The king's still pointing fingers at the shield for all the trouble. Later that night, Naofumi tells Melty not to stress about the kingdom's issues just yet. Her safety is the top priority right now. Once she's out of harm's way, she can start making changes for the kingdom. The next morning, the crew realizes that knights have surrounded the castle. Reichnaut gets taken away because they've heard Naofumi and his group are hiding in the mansion. Melty and Philo aren't in the room, so they need to make a quick getaway before the knights catch them. They soon find out Melty has a plan. She's gone to meet with the noble Idol who brought the knights. She tells him that Naofumi has made a run for it and insists she needs to talk to her dad. She demands an escort, and the noble agrees without a fuss. Raphtalia wants to jump in, but Naofumi holds her back. He doesn't want her to mess up Melty's plans. Now they just need to find Philo. Naofumi uses his master's order to track her down where she's sleeping. She dozed off in the attic while playing hide and seek with Melty the night before. She's shocked to hear that Melty went off with a noble and his knights. She wants to chase after them, but they stop her. Naofumi tells Philo that they're going to rescue Melty, and he's not leaving her behind. That night, Naofumi and his crew are already plotting how to sneak into Idol's mansion. Meanwhile, Idol is busy grilling Reichnaut about where the shield hero is. Reichnaut keeps insisting he doesn't even know who the shield hero is. Naofumi, Philo, and Raphtalia have snuck into the mansion and are taking out the knights trying to stop them. Just as Idol is about to hurt Melty, Philo and the others burst into the room. Idol grabs Melty as a hostage, but Naofumi uses his shield's power to take him down and save her. Melty is super happy to see Naofumi and thanks him, even if it's a bit reluctantly. Idol pulls out a whip, which triggers Raphtalia's memories of how she and other demi-humans have suffered at the hands of people like him. She cuts the whip and puts her sword to his neck, scaring him and making him feel the pain that other demi-humans have gone through. So it turns out Raphtalia is one of those demi-humans that Idol used to treat like his personal toys. He was super abusive and did whatever he wanted with them. He even killed one of Raphtalia's friends, a girl named Rafana. Raphtalia is seriously tempted to take him out. Naofumi asks her if killing him would help her feel better, but she's not so sure. Instead, Raphtalia decides to let Idol live so he can face the consequences of his actions. Just then, Idol pulls out a sword and tries to attack her. She manages to block his move and pushes him back. Idol is throwing everything he's got at Raphtalia to get rid of her. He ends up slipping and falls out of the building, plummeting to his death. Naofumi quickly reassures Raphtalia that Idol's death isn't on her, and she shouldn't blame herself. Meanwhile, Melty uses her magic to heal Reichnaut's wounds. Raphtalia tells her crew they need to rescue the other demi-humans still trapped in the mansion's basement. As they head down there, Raphtalia remembers being held captive after her hometown is destroyed. She thought the knights who showed up were there to help, but instead, they were shocked when they got shoved into cages and taken away. The deeper she goes into the underground, the more she feels that pain all over again. Naofumi is shocked to learn Raphtalia was kept in such a cramped space. Just thinking about it makes him feel sick and disgusted. He knows she must have gone through so much while she was locked up. Raphtalia remembers how Rafana suddenly got sick after all the hard work and torture. Even though she was already super weak, Raphtalia kept taking care of her. Rafana wished she could visit their village one more time. One morning, Raphtalia wakes up to find out she's being sold to a slave trader. She's the only one being sold, so she gets separated from her people. It breaks her heart to leave her friend behind. Fast forward to now, Naofumi and Raphtalia hear there's a survivor in one of the cells. After finding the first survivor, they keep discovering more. Raphtalia soon spots someone from her village in one of the cells. Her name is Keel, and she doesn't even recognize Raphtalia at first. Raphtalia has to reintroduce herself for Keel to remember her. They hug, and Keel starts crying. Raphtalia tells her she's with the shield hero now, and they're there to rescue her. Naofumi steps up and uses his power to heal Keel's injuries. Then Keel drops the bombshell that Rifana is dead. Raphtalia rushes to Rifana's cell to see if it's true. When she gets there, she falls to her knees at the sight before her. Rifana is gone, and all that's left are bones. Melty can't believe such horrible things are happening in the country. She's heartbroken by everything she's witnessing. Raphtalia tells Naofumi that Rifana always wanted to meet the shield hero. Naofumi suggests they give Rifana and the others a proper goodbye so they can rest in peace. Raphtalia starts blaming herself for Rifana's death, but Naofumi tries to convince her to stop. He tells her that she's made him a better person since they met. Without Raphtalia, he wouldn't have anyone to trust. He says she's got a good heart and always tries to do what's best for others. Now, all they need to do is protect the rest of her people and make sure no one else has to go through what she did. Raphtalia then has a quick flashback of her and Rifana laughing and joking together. She's able to send her friend off with that memory. After that, they leave the underground cells. When they get outside, they find out Idol is still alive, praying at a monument with a rosary in his hands. Suddenly, a blue light appears after his prayer. Reichnaut explains that the heroes of the past built the stone monument to seal away a monster. Turns out, Idol just released it. Idol is pretty sure no one can stop him now that the monster is on his side. He wants to take out Naofumi so he can be blessed by the divine being forever. The monster rises from the depths, and the first person it takes out is Idol himself. It lets out a massive roar that shakes everything and everyone around. While the monster is growling at them, there's a girl and a Philolial chilling in the woods. The Philolial spills the beans that it's found the perfect candidate to be the next queen. They must be talking about Philo, but we'll have to wait and see. Back at the mansion, Naofumi knows that the monster is super strong and they can't take it on. He tells everyone they need to bounce and find a place to hide. They're shocked when the monsters track them down in their hiding spot. There's a pause before they decide to fight because there are civilians around. Philo, fearless as ever, charges at the monster. Naofumi realizes they need to lure the monster away from the area to fight it without hurting anyone. Naofumi figures out that Philo can be the perfect bait to draw the monster out of town. The dragon is drawn to the crystal glowing in her belly. Reichnaut is supposed to take Keel and the other kids to safety. Raphtalia is hesitant to leave, but Keel insists she has to go because there are people who need saving. Raphtalia hands Keel the bracelet Naofumi gave her. Philo scoops up her party members and gets them out of there. The monster is right on their tail. They keep running until they're out of the forest, but the monster is still hot on their heels. They reach a flat area and wait for the monster to catch up. When the monster shows up, they hit it with a bunch of powerful attacks, but it doesn't even flinch. The monster tosses them around like they're nothing. Philo jumps high and kicks the monster, but it still stands strong. Raphtalia tries to slice it with her sword, but it's no use. Naofumi decides to activate the Rage Shield. Just as he's about to do it, a voice tells him not to. Suddenly, the whole area fills with mist. Melty says the mist is a high-level magic field. Out of nowhere, a bunch of Philolials pop up from the woods and surround the monster. Then, a massive Philolial, as tall as the dragon, rises from the pond behind them. Melty says she's the Philolial queen. The queen tells everyone to back off while she handles the monster. She gives the dragon a chance to hand over the fragment and give up. The dragon says no and charges at the queen. Without breaking a sweat, the queen kicks the dragon back. It tries to roast her, but she blocks it easily. In a flash, the queen takes out the monster with a surprise attack that nobody saw coming. After the monster's down, she transforms into her human form and introduces herself as Fitoria, the queen of all Philolials worldwide. She's been around for centuries. Philo wonders if she'll ever be as big as Fitoria. Then, Fitoria asks them to introduce themselves. Fitoria hooks them up with a carriage to get out of there, and has a bunch of questions for Naofumi. Before they leave, Naofumi grabs some materials from the dragon to upgrade his shield. Fitoria warns him against it because she's felt a bad vibe before. She says cursed materials are tough to handle, but Naofumi insists he's got it under control. Fitoria mentions she'll have her people bring the dragon's body along too. They hop into the carriage and head out. Fitoria uses portal magic, and they arrive at their destination in no time. They step out to find ancient ruins, which which are the remains of the civilization the original heroes defended. Vittoria says it's now a filial sanctuary, and she's not supposed to bring humans there. The ruins were around even before she was born. She tells the group to chill and grab a bite. Naofumi ends up cooking for everyone, including the filials. Later that night, Vittoria comes to get Naofumi for their chat. They stroll together while talking. Naofumi asks Vittoria why Philo is growing up differently from the others, and she explains it's because a hero is raising her. She reveals she came to help them because she heard a new queen candidate was found. She wants to know how the dragon seal got broken. Then she drops the bomb that the waves are happening in other countries too, not just Melremark. The heroes are supposed to be split up across each country. Vittoria shares that she was raised by a hero as well, and has been protecting the world ever since, but she still needs the heroes' help to save everything. She hopes the heroes can work together instead of fighting each other. Meanwhile, Ren and Itsuki sneak into the hidden part of the three heroes' church to see if they're really hiding something like Naofumi said. They find an archive and start digging through it. Sophia is hiding nearby and can see everything going down. Back at the ancient ruins, Vittoria tells Naofumi that she'll have to take out the four heroes if they can't get their act together and cooperate. The next morning, Vittoria has Melty as a hostage and says she won't let her go until Naofumi makes peace with the other heroes. Naofumi is firm that he's not ready to patch things up with them. Vittoria drops a bombshell. She could wipe out all four heroes and call in a new set if they can't get it together. Despite all the threats, Naofumi stands his ground, saying he wants nothing to do with the other heroes. He tries to activate his rage shield, but Vittoria uses her powers to mess with it. She sees how stubborn he is, and then offers him a deal. She tells Naofumi that she'll think about her options again if he can show that he and his crew can handle the waves by themselves. She suggests a 1v1 fight between her and Philo. If Philo wins, she'll let Melty go and hold off on taking out the heroes for a bit. Naofumi doesn't want Philo to go up against Vittoria, but Philo insists she can handle it, especially if it solves their current mess. They're going to fight in their human forms. Vittoria sets up a magic barrier to be the arena for the showdown. The fight kicks off, and Vittoria easily dodges around Philo. Philo gives it her all, but she can't get close to Vittoria. Every spell and attack she throws is easily countered. While they're fighting, Naofumi tries to save Melty, but Vittoria just tosses him against the wall like it's nothing. Vittoria turns to Philo and tells her she's weak. She says Philo's party needs her right now, and there's nothing she can do about it. The battle goes on, and Philo is determined to make her master proud. Naofumi tells her to chill out because he knows she can do it. With that encouragement, Philo manages to conjure a powerful spell and charges at Vittoria. Vittoria sets up a barrier to block the attack. Philo keeps going after Vittoria, even with the shield up. She gives it her all and manages to break through Vittoria's defenses. After using so much energy, Philo collapses to the ground, but she's still determined not to give up. Vittoria comes over and tells her she's won the battle. Philo's friends rush in to hug her. Then Vittoria reveals she was just testing Philo. If Philo hadn't passed, she would have died, and so would Naofumi. Vittoria pulls out a crown and names Philo as her successor, saying she's next in line. She places the crown on Philo's head, and all the Philolials cheer in unison. Naofumi notices that Philo's status has shot up too. Vittoria then tells Naofumi she has something for him as well. She puts one of her fragments into his shield, unlocking a bunch of features he couldn't access before. To apologize for using Melty as a hostage, Vittoria asks Melty what she wants. Melty says she wants a ride on Vittoria's back, and Vittoria happily agrees. They have a blast during the ride. Later that night, they throw a feast to celebrate the new queen. Once everyone's asleep, Vittoria and Naofumi sit down for their chat. She asks Naofumi if he ever tried to clear his name after the incident, but he says no. He didn't even try to explain it to the heroes because he figured no one would believe him, so he didn't bother. He admits he messed up there. Vittoria then tells him it's time to settle things with the heroes. After they leave the ruins, she'll drop Naofumi off near one of the heroes so they can talk it out. She doesn't want to get mixed up in that stuff again. She then spills the tea that one of the heroes kicking the bucket means they gotta summon new heroes. They need to be all in it together to take down the waves. She also drops the bomb that a time's gonna come when they have to pick between saving the world or the people in it. If they go for the world, they can save it, but if they choose the people, it's gonna be a rough ride. The past heroes always went with saving the world, but they hope their successors will look out for the people instead. Hearing this, Naofumi figures he needs to beef up and use the rage shield more. Vittoria then casts a spell on Naofumi's breastplate to ease the curse eating away at the rage shield. She tells him to chill on using the shield too much. Naofumi realizes Vittoria's actually a lot nicer than she seems. Her eyes are all teary as she lays her head on Naofumi's lap. Vittoria can't remember the hero who raised her because Filolios have short memories, but she does recall those gentle pats on her head. In the last scenes of the episode, we see Ren and Itsuki chasing a lead into a sketchy cave. Just then, a bright, powerful blast lights up the sky and hits their spot. The next morning, Vittoria teleports the group to a spot where she senses one of the heroes. She also hooks them up with a new wagon. With emotions running high, they say their goodbyes. They soon reach a checkpoint, and the group starts debating whether to take a detour. Now Fumi figures either Itsuki or Ren should be there. They plan to chat with one of them to see if they can get through. If not, they'll just push their way in. As they approach the checkpoint, the lookout spots them and raises the alarm right away. They arrive to find Motoyasu and a bunch of guards waiting. Motoyasu is worried he got stuck talking to the worst of the three heroes. Naofumi tells him he's not there to fight. He just wants to talk and pass through. Motoyasu gets mad, asking if that's all Naofumi has to say. He lunges at Naofumi, but Naofumi blocks the attack, surprised that Motoyasu would come at him for no reason. Motoyasu claims he was probably summoned to this world to take Naofumi down, calling him a devil that needs to be destroyed. He keeps throwing spells at Naofumi, but Naofumi manages to fend them off. Motoyasu is furious that Naofumi won't go down. Naofumi then asks why Motoyasu is so angry with him. Why is he always ready to fight? Motoyasu tells Naofumi to dig deep into his feelings and he'll figure it out. He then drops the bomb that Ren and Itsuki are dead, claiming Naofumi is to blame. Naofumi is shocked, his mouth hanging open in disbelief when he hears that Ren and Itsuki are gone. Naofumi tells Motoyasu that he didn't kill the two because he has no reason to. He asks if Motoyasu has seen their bodies, but he says no. Just as Naofumi is about to keep convincing Motoyasu, Sophia shows up and claims they got the info from a reliable source at the church. She warns Motoyasu to watch out for Naofumi's brainwashing skills. Naofumi can't believe Motoyasu still thinks he has those powers. Sophia then creates a lightning cage around them so they can fight without interruptions. Naofumi tells Motoyasu to chill and check what Sophia is saying before he jumps into action, but he's not ready to listen. It turns into a full-on brawl between Naofumi's crew and Motoyasu's gang. They start throwing magic spells at each other. As the fight heats up, Naofumi and his team manage to pull off a combo move. Motoyasu is shocked that Naofumi and his crew can take them down even without leveling up. Naofumi tells him that they've been training hard to pick up skills that'll help them in battle. Motoyasu isn't ready to throw in the towel. He insists he needs to get revenge for Itsuki and Ren. Just then, they realize all the soldiers are gone, and it's just them left. Philo knocks Motoyasu and his crew to the ground to bring them closer. She then tells Naofumi to set up a protection around them. Naofumi creates a shield prison, but Philo says it's not enough. He adds more layers of shield protection. Suddenly, a powerful projectile appears in the sky and crashes down on their location. The shield protection shatters, but Naofumi manages to block all the damage with his shield. The area around the group gets scorched, but they're totally safe. The ground is covered in magma, and while the team is still trying to figure out what's going on, the Pope shows up above them. The Pope is shocked that they're still alive after taking a direct hit from the multicaster ritual magic judgment weapon. He claims he wants to purify Naofumi for his sins, which means he needs to kill him. Sophia gets mad and calls out the Pope for almost taking out the spear hero and the future queen. The Pope mocks her, saying it'll be reported that the shield hero killed them. He adds that plans are already in place for someone else to take over the government. He accuses the heroes of hurting the nation, and then drops the bombshell that he was the one who killed Itsuki and Ren. Motoyasu is stunned when he hears this. To finish off the group, the Pope pulls out a sword that Melty recognizes. The look on her face shows she knows just how powerful that sword is. The Pope points the sword at the group and unleashes a massive blast, but Naofumi manages to block it. He can feel the sword's insane power. The Pope tells them that was just a test shot and powers up the sword to show its real strength. Suddenly, the sword turns into a spear, shocking everyone, but Melty is already in the know. She explains that the sword is a direct copy of the hero's weapons and can transform into any of the 4 legendary weapons, packing a huge punch. Motoyasu asks why they needed to summon heroes when they have something that powerful. Melty clarifies that the weapon uses a ton of mana. The Pope then says that the mana needed will come from the hundreds of followers behind him, calling it a battle between the devil and the divine. Motoyasu gets mad, realizing they've been playing him from the start. He fires a blast from his spear, but a barrier around the Pope stops it cold. Melty warns them they can't touch the Pope unless they break through the force field. Motoyasu tells Naofumi it's time to team up and cut off the mana supply. He throws out a bunch of combos to attack the Pope, but the barrier doesn't budge. Some of the believers run out of mana and collapse. After a bunch of failed attempts to hit the Pope, he strikes back with his own attack. Naofumi knows they don't stand a chance against the weapon's power, especially with the nearly endless mana supply. Just as the Pope is about to attack, a combo move comes out of nowhere and pushes him back. They turn around to see that Ren and Itsuki have just shown up. They're shocked shocked to see the duo alive and kicking. The Pope tells his assistant to have their magicians focus on creating the barrier. Ren spills the tea that the Pope actually tried to take them out. They managed to survive thanks to the Shadow Squad. Ren and Itsuki figured out that everything about Naofumi was a total lie, and he got framed. Ren charges at the Pope and goes all out on him. The barrier protects the Pope, but he still feels the hit. Ren and Itsuki let him know that the Queen's forces are on their way. They urge the Pope to throw in the towel before the Queen shows up. The followers start to panic when they hear this, but the Pope quickly calms them down again. The heroes realize the followers and the Pope aren't ready to back down. They need to team up and teach them a lesson. But now Fumi decides to give the trio a reality check for how badly they've acted these past few weeks. He says none of this would have happened if Motoyasu had used his head instead of blindly following Sophia. He also calls out Ren and Itsuki for treating everything like a game. The trio starts bickering, trying to blame each other for the mess they're in. While they're at each other's throats, the Pope is just laughing. He can't believe the heroes are such a joke. He's thrilled he can easily manipulate them and even wipe them out if he wants. He says the heroes really need to be taken out. He's had enough and seen it all. According to him, they don't deserve to live. Then he reveals that while they were squabbling, the followers gathered enough mana. They've got enough power to charge up the weapon and take out the heroes. The Pope fires a blast from the legendary weapon at the heroes, but now Fumi blocks it. He remembers how Fitoria begged him to resolve things. He tells the other heroes they're scum, no better than the Pope trying to kill them, but he's willing to work with them until they take down the Pope and make it out alive. He insists he hasn't forgiven them, but he won't break the promise he made to Fitoria. With that, the heroes and their party agree to team up. Just then, the Pope activates a wall around them that looks like the roof of the church. He calls it his cathedral and tells the heroes they've reached their final destination. Meanwhile, the Queen is gearing up. She's suited up in her armor and ready to roll. She orders her troops to move out to take down the sneaky Pope and his crew. She's counting on the shield hero to hang in there until she arrives. Back where the Pope and the heroes are squaring off, the heroes launch a spell at the Pope, but he keeps brushing them off. While the Pope is battling the heroes, the believers are using their mana to heal him from any hits he takes. This lets the Pope stand strong against the heroes, bouncing back from any damage right away. Now Fumi is riding on Philo's back, carrying Motoyasu with him. He tells Motoyasu to go for it when they get close to the Pope. The plan goes off without a hitch, and Motoyasu unleashes a curse attack at the Pope, but the Pope easily wipes it away. He claims that curses don't mean squat inside the cathedral. He says the ground is a holy spot, blessed by the Supreme Being. Then, he tells the bishop to keep the believers on their toes. The bishop responds that almost all the believers are running low on mana. He warns that their lives could be at risk if they keep pushing it. The Pope doesn't give a hoot about that and tells the bishop to keep the pressure on the believers. The Pope insists that the fight is between the devil and the almighty Supreme Being. With that, the believers keep straining themselves to pump out more mana. The heroes are shocked to see the believers still going strong despite the terrible things the Pope just said to them. They realize the Pope is stacking up mana for a big attack, and they need to do something fast. They ask Naofumi if he can help out with his shield. He's been holding his own against them even though he's not fully developed. Naofumi is thinking about using the shield, but he suddenly feels a sharp pain in his body. He remembers what Fitoria told him about the Rage Shield curse. Right now, he has no choice because it's the only way to go head-to-head with the Pope. He reassures Philo and Raftalia that he'll do his best to keep his cool. He activates the Rage Shield, and the dragon's hatred starts to take over him. Naofumi tries hard to fight it off, but eventually, he falls for the dragon's words and lets the rage consume him. He gives in, and his whole body and soul are taken over by the anger inside him. Everyone watching realizes he's crossed over to the dark side. Just as he's about to start wrecking everything, he hears Philo, Melty, and Raftalia's voices in his head. He focuses on their voices and manages to pull himself back together. Coming to his senses, he sees the trio holding on to him. They're already feeling the effects of the curse. Naofumi then turns to the other three heroes and humbly asks for their help. The Pope attacks them, but Naofumi protects them. The group then goes all out against the Pope. Naofumi is shouting orders to everyone. Even Motoyasu can't believe he's taking orders from Naofumi. They manage to push the Pope back and break through all his defenses. They charge at him, but they're shocked when the Pope suddenly gains a new surge of power. The Pope starts hitting them with advanced skills from his legendary weapon. He creates some kind of noise barrier around the group to mess with their hearing. They soon realize that what the Pope made is just an illusion. Just when the Pope is about to finish them off, the Queen shows up and casts a spell that traps the Pope in an ice wall. She tells Naofumi to take him out. Naofumi activates a spell that pierces his own body, spraying red liquid everywhere. The Pope is thrilled that Naofumi has taken himself out. Suddenly, a red creature pops up from under the Pope and devours him. The cathedral and the legendary weapon get destroyed along with the Pope. Once the dust settles, they find Naofumi unresponsive. lying in a pool of his own blood. The girls start to panic, but the queen reassures them that she won't let the shield hero die. She approaches Naofumi and introduces herself. 3 days later, Naofumi wakes up in a clinic, all bandaged up. The 3 girls are there with him, and they fill him in on what happened. They tell him that the queen did everything she could to make sure he pulled through. The power Naofumi activated hits both the target and himself, but the queen made sure he didn't kick the bucket. Even with her quick recovery magic, it's gonna take him about a month to heal completely. A little while later, the queen drops by to see Naofumi. She introduces herself again. Her name is Morelia. Naofumi is curious why the shield hero has been treated like an outcast since he got to this world, and the queen promises to explain everything. She reveals that she was away at a forum when the nation summoned the 4 heroes. They had originally agreed that each of the 4 nations would summon 1 hero, but the king and princess went behind her back and summoned all 4. This ticked off the other nations, and Morelia has been trying to fix the mess ever since. The lord she left in charge ended up dying in the first wave, which gave Altcray and Sophia free reign to do whatever they wanted. Then she gets into why the shield hero has been hated from the start. She explains that Altcray already had a grudge against the shield for a specific reason. He hated the last shield hero, and passed that hatred down to Naofumi. Things would have been different if Naofumi had been summoned to another nation. For example, in Siltvelt, they actually worship the shield hero. The queen promises Naofumi that he won't be stopped if he wants to head to Siltvelt. She even vows to clear his name and put an end to the humiliation he's been facing. Plus, she's gonna reward him with a whopping 500 gold pieces. Naofumi tells the queen he's not planning on sticking around the country. He knows they're counting on him to survive, but he promises to show up when the waves hit. The queen then invites him to the royal castle the next day to clear his name in front of everyone. A decree has already gone out telling people to gather at the castle. The queen bows and begs Naofumi to attend the gathering. He's shocked to see her bowing to him. That night, Naofumi wakes up from a dream where he sees the king and princess losing their heads at the execution ground. The next morning, Naofumi and his crew show up at the royal castle. The other 3 heroes are there too. A little while later, a messenger tells them to head into the throne room. When they walk in, Motoyasu notices that the king and the first princess aren't in their seats. The queen tells the guards to bring the king and Sophia in. They come in chained up, which shocks Motoyasu and the other heroes. The queen reveals that they are considered criminals, and the trial is about to start. Plus, it's going to be broadcasted for everyone to see. Before the trial kicks off, the queen makes sure the duo gets a slave crest to keep things fair. Motoyasu can't believe it. He tries to remind the queen that Sophia is her daughter, but she's not having it. She claims Sophia is a pathological liar who needs to be dealt with. The queen starts grilling her about everything that's happened so far. Every time Sophia lies, she feels pain from the slave crest. This way, everyone finds out she tried to kill her sister. They also discover that Malti, aka Sophia, framed the shield hero by saying Naofumi assaulted her. Once the confessions are out, the queen drops a bombshell. She strips them of their titles and sentences them to death. She says their actions hurt the people, and there's no way to forgive them. The queen proves she means business when she orders the execution to happen right away, and it's going to be in front of the crowd. Naofumi realizes everything is going down just like in his dream. The duo is taken to the guillotine, and the crowd is celebrating. Just as the execution is about to go down, Naofumi steps in. He says the death penalty is too easy for them. Then he proposes something wild. He says the king should change his name to Trash, and the princess should be called the B word. He tells them they can either accept this or go to the guillotine instead. He also suggests that Sophia's adventurer name should be the S word. The queen goes for it. She announces that the 3 heroes are abolished right then and there. Instead, they're setting up the 4 heroes church. The citizens are all about this new plan. After that, Naofumi gets ready to bounce. He tells the queen he'll be working with other nations now. The queen promises to hook him up with whatever he needs on his journey. She tells Melty that she would have traded her life for the king and Sophia if Naofumi hadn't stopped the execution. Just as Naofumi is about to leave the city, the crowd gathers to show him some love. The military even gives him an honor guard as the shield hero. Naofumi realizes he's just regained the honor, respect, and status he lost. He walks out of the city with a smile, ready to go wherever the waves take him with his crew. Next up, Naofumi and his crew hit up the 4 heroes church to level up their classes. They can finally stroll into the church whenever they want. After their upgrades, they head to the royal castle because the queen wants to see them. While they chat, the queen shows her excitement about the group meeting Fitoria and wishes she could have that chance too. Then, she gets to the real reason for their visit. She's throwing a party for the 4 heroes that night and has something super important to share with them. Later that night, everyone gathers in the main hall for the feast while the heroes are in a private room with the queen. Suddenly, one of the knights bugs Raftalia, causing a bit of chaos in the reception hall. Melty spots her sister adding some weird liquid to one of the pies. During the meeting with the queen, Naofumi remembers Fitoria's advice about sorting things out with the other heroes. He suggests they have a heart-to-heart since they're all together anyway. The queen then drops some big news. There's a once-in-a-decade event coming up that'll boost their XP. It turns out now Fumi is the only one who doesn't know about it. He looks totally lost when the queen mentions it. Just then, Melty rushes in to tell her mom that Sophia tried to poison the food for the party, and she confessed because of her slave pact. Motoyasu is skeptical, and the queen tells him to check it out himself after the meeting. Then she encourages the heroes to speak their minds to prep for the event, which will help them work together better and get more out of it. Motoyasu and the other two heroes think there's no need for that. The queen decides it's time to be straight with them. She reveals that when the next wave hits, if the heroes haven't settled their differences, they all expect the shield hero to be executed. She explains that the three heroes got taken down in the last waves, so they need to team up with the shield hero because they aren't as strong as him right now. The other three heroes then ask Naofumi where he got his cheat shield. He tells them it's not a cheat, it's just the result of his hard work. Naofumi offers to share what he knows with the three heroes if they agree to chat first. They kick things off by telling him about the cool perks of their legendary weapons. Naofumi is taken aback because he's been stressing over getting things right, stuff he could have easily done with his own legendary weapon, like teleportation. Meanwhile, the chaos in the reception hall is still going strong. Back in the private room, the heroes end up leaving on a sour note after getting into an argument. Long story short, the night turns out to be a bust. Later, Rafatlia and Naofumi sit down to chat about how the night went. Rafatlia apologizes for the mess, but Naofumi tells her not to sweat it because he feels the same way. He manages to unlock one of the weapon options the other heroes mentioned and plans to tell them about it the next day. The next morning, the queen tells Naofumi that the heroes took off super early. He decides he'll fill them in on what he found later. The queen then informs him that the ship for his transport is ready to go at the dock. So, the shield hero says goodbye to Melty and the queen. Before he leaves, Naofumi swings by the weapon shop to try out the new copy option he discovered. He uses it to copy some shields in the shop. After that, Rafatlia asks if they can take a little detour. They visit her village where she buried Rafana's bones. The village is in ruins, but Keel is determined to rebuild everything. Naofumi also wants to help anyone in need. Before leaving, Rafatlia and Philo plead with Naofumi not to ever leave them. He agrees, saying he's not ready to leave everything to the three cardinal heroes. Naofumi knows he can't bail until Rafatlia and Philo find happiness. Soon after, the trio arrives at the dock where their ship is waiting. It turns out the other three heroes are also there, ready to board the same ship. Naofumi and his crew hop on the ship and set sail for Kalmyra to hit up the level up event. On board, they bump into two adventurers, a guy named Berg and a girl named Therese. Naofumi introduces himself, but Berg doesn't buy it. He straight up doubts that Naofumi is the real shield hero. He even talks trash about the shield hero right in Naofumi's face, calling him a scumbag, but claiming Naofumi is different. Berg suggests that Naofumi and his crew team up with his party. After that, Naofumi heads to the front of the ship where the three heroes are chilling. They're all feeling queasy and super seasick. Naofumi tries to share his latest discovery, but they're not having it right now. Philo, on the other hand, is having a blast. She jumps into the ocean and starts fishing to whip up some grilled fish for dinner. Just then, Therese and Berg come over to the front. Therese learns that Naofumi is a skilled jeweler and wants him to make her an accessory, ready to pay for it. She hands Naofumi the materials he needs, and he promises to craft it while leveling up. Before long, the ship docks in Kalmyra. Naofumi wonders why Raftalia isn't seasick, especially since she usually gets motion sickness. The other heroes had a rough ride and had to be carried off the ship, showing just how bad it was for them. Moments later, the governor of Kalmyra, Habenberg, shows up to welcome Naofumi and the crew. Kalmyra is a cluster of islands that draw in tourists and adventurers. As they explore the island, they run into Berg and Therese again. Berg gives Naofumi a hard time for leaving the ship without saying goodbye. Naofumi scans the duo and checks out their levels and stats. He starts thinking about teaming up with them since they've been through the ringer. After Berg and Therese leave, Naofumi tells his party to follow him. They plan to grind some levels before the day is done. They find a spot to fight slimes, and even the weakest ones give them a good chunk of XP while they're on the island. Suddenly, their XP gains stop. Itsuki and the other heroes show up right then, and they start arguing over who gets to farm XP in that spot. Naofumi isn't about to get into it, so he tells his crew it's time to bounce. The trio rolls up to another spot. They just took down a monster and racked up a ton of XP in one go. Raftalia and Philo quickly realize their skills have outgrown their weapons. If they don't do something soon, their gear is gonna fall apart. Naofumi suggests hitting up a weapon shop to snag some new gear before they take on the boss. For now, they make do with weapons they snagged from the monsters they've defeated. That night, Naofumi shares his worries about the Rage Shield and Curse spell he used last time. Just then, Berg and Therese pop out from the bushes. Berg mentions he got worried when Naofumi's fairy dude reported he wasn't back yet. There have been whispers of adventurers biting the dust on quests. He's already considering Naofumi a friend and doesn't want anything bad to happen to him. He suggests calling it a night. They can still hunt monsters when the sun comes up. Raftalia agrees with Berg, and Naofumi goes along with it too. Berg gives Naofumi a hug as they stroll out of the forest. left. When they get back to town that night, Naofumi, the other heroes, and their crew have a blast together. The next morning, Naofumi hands Therese the accessory she asked him to whip up. She's all about the beauty of the jewelry and pays him way more than he expected. She even wants to pay him more, and Naofumi suggests they grind levels instead. They hit the island and start battling monsters. Naofumi notices that Berg and Therese are pretty high-level adventurers. Therese casts a spell on the new accessory Naofumi made for her and uses it as a weapon. Naofumi and his crew are blown away by the chant Therese uses to activate the spell. They've never heard anything like it before, and it seems super powerful. The flames surround Naofumi but don't hurt him at all. In fact, it lifts the curse weight off his body. After a day of grinding, both parties say their goodbyes and split up. Naofumi is already planning to ask Therese and Berg to join his crew once they finish leveling up. Later, Philo comes running to tell Naofumi she found a structure underwater. They dive in and explore the place. There's breathable air inside, but it's dark until Raftalia lights it up for them. They're shocked to find an hourglass inside too. This means the island could be attacked in the next wave. The next wave is coming in 2 days. After making this discovery, they jump right into prepping for the next wave. Naofumi teleports back to the capital to fill the queen in on what he's found. The queen wastes no time and quickly gathers a big army for the wave. There's a good chance the battle will go down at sea. Soldiers and adventurers are already on ships, ready for action. The folks in Calmyra have also been evacuated to avoid any distractions during the fight. The queen and Melty are gearing up to join the battle too. Naofumi is still a bit anxious about whether the heroes will work together, but he feels better knowing that Berg and Therese are in the mix. He trusts them more than Motoyasu and the other two. Before long, the countdown hits 0 and the waves show up. Monsters start pouring in from the portals. The soldiers jump right in and start fighting the monsters. They even toss barrels of strong wine into the sea to use as explosives. Then, a massive sea monster appears, and it's a real headache. Itsuki can't land a hit unless they can lure it out of the water. The queen tells Naofumi to take charge of the sea monster, so it's on him to take it down. Naofumi hops on Philo's back and heads into the water to face the scary monster. Naofumi manages to lure the monster out of the water, giving Itsuki and the other heroes a chance to hit it hard. But even with all that firepower, it doesn't seem to faze the monster. It even takes out one of the ships. Luckily, Raftalia fires a strong harpoon that actually hurts the beast. Naofumi realizes that Raftalia is doing more damage now that she's leveled up. While the heroes handle the big monster, the soldiers keep their focus on the smaller ones. During the fight, Melty almost gets overwhelmed by monsters, but Berg swoops in just in time to save her and take out the monsters swarming her ship. Berg tells Naofumi to get the monster back out of the water so he can attack it. They need to deal with this monster first. Naofumi pulls the monster out, and Berg jumps on it, delivering a killer blow. Philo and Therese jump in to help, and together they take the monster down. The queen is shocked by their show of strength. After taking down the monster, the heroes are getting ready to scoop up the loot left behind, even though they weren't the ones who actually took it down. Suddenly, Berg jumps in and attacks Naofumi and the other 3 heroes. Naofumi is caught off guard by Berg's sudden shift in attitude. Berg says it hurts him that it's come to this. He didn't believe Naofumi when he claimed to be the shield hero. Berg then declares that the heroes need to be taken out for the sake of the world. He explains that what's about to happen isn't personal. They're heroes from another world too, and their own world is on the brink of destruction. They need something to fight for, and that's why they've come here. Berg and Therese say they're ready to battle the heroes fair and square. The queen realizes Berg and Therese are the bad guys and immediately orders her soldiers to back up the heroes. With just one spell, Therese manages to freeze the other ships so they can't mess with the fight. Therese and Berg say their only target is Naofumi, the shield hero. Naofumi's friends say they won't just stand there while the two try to take down their master. A brawl breaks out between the two groups. Berg seems to have the upper hand, effortlessly dodging their attacks. Meanwhile, Melty is gearing up to help Naofumi. Berg warns Naofumi that he gets stronger the more defense he has thrown at him, making it tough for Naofumi to take him down. Just then, Melty shows up. She urges Naofumi to defeat Berg and Therese quickly because the wave isn't over yet. The fight kicks off again, and this time, Naofumi and his crew start to gain the upper hand. They land a few hits on Berg, but it's still not enough to take him down. Naofumi knows this battle is serious. It's a kill or be killed situation. Suddenly, Glass crashes onto the scene. Turns out, she's on their side. She throws different spells at Naofumi, but he blocks them all with his shield. Glass says she's impressed with how much stronger Naofumi has gotten. He's able to block her attacks without even using the raid shield. The fight keeps going between the two groups. Naofumi notices that Glass is keeping her guard up around the Soul Eater shield he transformed during the battle. He and his crew get hit with a bunch of combos, but he manages to protect them with the shield prison. He tells his team to leave Glass to him and asks Melty, Philo, and Raftalia to take care of Berg and Therese while he faces off against Glass. They take their fight to another ship. Glass is surprised that Naofumi trusts his team enough to let them handle Berg and Therese. She then reveals that she's also a hero from the same world as them. As the battle goes on, Naofumi uses the Soul Eater shield and figures out that it doesn't drain Glass's SP, but her life force. He tells her to give up because she's already lost. Glass Glass isn't ready to back down until one of them is dead. Naofumi hesitates to kill her, but she reminds him that their world will end if he doesn't. He has to take her out to protect the world, just like he's always wanted. Naofumi gets a glimpse of the war happening in Glass's world. She has to defeat him if her world is going to survive. He starts to wonder if he should even save a world that's been so cruel to him. Glass downs a potion that pumps her up and knocks Naofumi to the ground with a fierce hit. Raphtalia leaves her fight to back Naofumi up. She's ready to do whatever it takes to save her master. Naofumi unleashes his shield power, creating a massive explosion that overshadows Glass. When the smoke clears, he's shocked to see she can take it. Frustrated, he's about to use the curse shield when he realizes the queen and her troops are now supporting him. They toss barrels of wine at Glass and urge Naofumi to use them against her. He blows up the barrels on her, which weakens her a ton. Finally, she admits defeat when she sees there's nothing more she can do. Berg and Therese carry Glass away through the portals. As soon as they leave, the waves disappear too. With that, they've won the battle. After the battle, Naofumi and his crew decide to chill on the island before heading back to Melromark. Naofumi starts stressing about whether he can take down Berg and the other heroes from the other world if they come at them in the next wave. He wonders if this is what Fitoria meant when she talked about sacrificing another world. Later, they bump into Lisha, one of Itsuki's party members. She got accused of breaking one of Itsuki's accessories. She really shined in the last battle, and maybe the heroes didn't like her stealing their thunder. Naofumi offers her a chance to join his party so she can hang with them until she clears her name. Licia happily accepts. Soon after, the storm calms down, and it's time to head back to Melromark. On the way, Naofumi sails with the queen, who asks what kind of reward he wants. Naofumi has something in mind. Once they reach Melromark, he takes Licia to the weapon shop to get her some new gear. After that, Naofumi tells his party they're going somewhere but keeps it a secret. He just says they're going to claim the queen's reward. They soon arrive at Raphtalia's village, and she's surprised to see them and meet Melty. Melty has a decree from the queen, appointing Naofumi as the governor of Sayate's demi-human region. This is his reward. He's now the lord of the area. Naofumi will be living there, and they'll set up a home base. The old granny will also stick around to train the new recruits. Raphtalia realizes that rebuilding will be way quicker and easier with all the plans Naofumi has. Raphtalia breaks down in tears and begs Naofumi not to leave. She can't handle the thought of losing him and wants him to stay even after the waves are defeated. Naofumi reassures her that he's not going anywhere. He's decided to stay in this world and make it his home. He sees this world and his party as a fresh start. After taking down the last wave, which was pretty rough, things are looking up for Naofumi and his crew. Don't forget, he's now the boss of Luralona village, which is Raphtalia's hometown. The village is getting rebuilt without a hitch. The old lady, Elrasla Grilaro, has made it her home too and is training the new recruits. Risha, who used to be in Itsuki's party, is also in the village, working hard to impress him. She wants to get stronger because Itsuki thinks she's weak and not cut out for his team. She's even wearing a costume to boost her stats. Then there's Keel, who's training under the old lady. While Naofumi is chatting with her and the trainees, a swarm of monster bats shows up at the village. Philo and Raphtalia jump in with Naofumi to take out the bats. Naofumi grabs a piece left by the bats and uses it to power up his shield. He figures out that the bats are familiars and wonders if they're monsters from the waves, but he realizes the wave can't be the reason for the bats, since they still have a week until the next wave hits. Just then, he notices that the wave countdown has stopped. Suddenly, there's a loud roar that everyone in the area can hear and feel. After that, Naofumi and his team decide to head to the capital to talk to the queen about what's going on. The other heroes are there too. The queen tells them that the monster bats are linked to the awakening of a scary beast called the Spirit Tortoise. This Spirit Tortoise is said to bring a bunch of monsters and beasts with it. Motoyasu and the other two heroes tell the queen they're not ready to fight anything that isn't related to the waves. They were basically brought to this world to deal with the waves, and they're not looking to get involved in anything else. The trio leaves the meeting after making their intentions clear. On their way out, Risha spots Itsuki and asks to rejoin his party, but he shuts her down. He still thinks she'll never be strong enough. Back in the meeting room, Naofumi tells the queen he'll help with the Spirit Tortoise issue. The tortoise is still way out east but is heading toward the capital. Naofumi's territories are in its path, so they need to take it out before it gets there. The queen asks about Melty, and Naofumi says she's fine. She's keeping an eye on things in his territory. He's relieved that the wave countdown has stopped, giving him more time to focus on taking down the tortoise. He'll also look into why the countdown stopped. After the meeting, Naofumi and his crew hit up a weapon shop to get Risha a weapon. The shop owner, Elhart, tells Naofumi that other nations are teaming up with Melromark to fight the tortoise. Then, they visit a slave merchant. Raphtalia convinces Risha to get a slave crest like hers to help her grow stronger under Naofumi. She hesitates at first, but eventually agrees and gets the crest. Naofumi notices Risha is trying hard to impress Itsuki. He promises to train her so she can get what she wants and tells his party to get ready because they're heading to the Spirit Tortoise Kingdom the next day. As they travel to the Tortoise Kingdom, they come across some refugees. This helps them realize that things are getting worse over there. One night, the party discovers that Philo's cowtail is a communication device to talk to Fitoria. Fitoria reminds Naofumi about her warning. She'll eliminate the heroes if they don't work together. Risha is shocked and immediately worries about Itsuki's safety. During their journey, they hear a group talking about the tortoise. A hooded guy tells them that 3 heroes are dead. As soon as Risha hears this, she jumps out of the carriage and bolts toward the capital. Now Fumi stops her and tells her not to freak out over unconfirmed news. He then asks Philo to check with Vittoria about any heroes being dead, and Vittoria says no. Risha feels relieved. Now Fumi shares that he doesn't want to lose any heroes either. Suddenly, a horde of monster bats and yetis comes at them. The shield hero and his team fight off the monsters to protect the civilians until they can safely pass the checkpoint. The monsters are overwhelming, and now Fumi has to use a powerful dark burning curse to wipe them out. The spell is so strong it creates a huge crater in the ground. Now Fumi is wiped out from using the spell. Philo, Risha, and Raftalia rush over to check on him in the crater when a woman in a black robe shows up. The woman asks the shield hero to kill her, and she disappears right away. Later, generals from different nations gather for a meeting, and the Queen of Melromark and now Fumi are there too. They get reports that the tortoise has already wiped out one nation's capital and is now chilling in a passive state. It's gonna stay like that for 2 to 3 days. During the meeting, some leaders think they can take on the tortoise without the 4 heroes, but the nation that got hit tells everyone they don't stand a chance. They all need to team up if they want a shot at defeating the beast. While the meeting is happening, Eclair, the daughter of Mirelia's trusted noble who died in the first wave, shows up at the camp. Philo and Risha tell her that now Fumi, Raftalia, and the Queen are brainstorming a plan to take down the tortoise. Back in the meeting room, now Fumi discovers there are other heroes besides the 4 main ones. They're called the 7-star heroes. They were summoned earlier, and some of them are chosen in the kingdom too. They're pretty weak compared to the 4 main heroes, but the 7 heroes will join the fight as well. Just then, a woman in black walks into the room. It looks like the Queen knows her. She's the mistress of the late king of the Spirit Tortoise Kingdom, and is currently the nation's regent. She introduces herself to now Fumi as Ost Hurai. Then she drops a bombshell by saying she's the familiar of the Spirit Tortoise. She's basically like the Yetis and monster bats, but the only difference is she's taken on a human form. Her goal as a human-type familiar is to get close to the power center and trick people into gathering a minimum number of souls. She goes on to explain that the Spirit Tortoise's job is to block waves of calamity from showing up. The tortoise uses souls as a resource for this. The monsters are just a way for the tortoise to collect souls. But if that doesn't work, the seal on the tortoise will break, and it'll be unleashed. Then it'll wreak havoc on the world to gather enough souls to stop the waves from coming. The only twist this time is that the seal on the tortoise didn't just break on its own. Someone broke it, and is now controlling the tortoise. Now this tortoise is causing serious trouble that could lead to disaster. By the time it's done, there might be nothing left. Ost begs now Fumi to take out her creator before things spiral even more out of control. She's the only one who should know how to break the seal, so she's shocked that someone else knows how to do it too. Ost tells now Fumi that she'll help him find the person controlling the tortoise. The tortoise is after souls, so it probably heads to crowded places to collect them. She lets the group know that if they chop off the tortoise's head, it should die. Now that they know how to kill it, all they need is a solid plan. The nations start bickering over who will lead the mission. Now Fumi gets really mad and tells them off. He claims he'll take charge and there's nothing they can do about it. After the meeting, Ost goes to meet now Fumi's party members. Eclair also decides she's in for the fight, ready to defend her land. That night, Raftalia approaches now Fumi. She tells him he needs to come up with a plan that the generals can't refuse, something so appealing that they'll have no choice but to team up with him. Raftalia knows now Fumi is trying to save everyone, and she appreciates that. The next day, now Fumi shares his plan with the generals. Since the tortoise is targeting crowded areas, he wants everyone to move out in force to grab the tortoise's attention. The nation of Haikazuya will send a dragon rider battalion as a decoy. Another nation offers troops to take on the dragon, and yet another promises siege weapons. Now Fumi plans to take down a fortress and drop it on the tortoise to immobilize it. Once it's out of commission, they'll fire the multicaster weapon the Pope used at it. Risha and Ost are tasked with heading to the library to find a way to defeat the monster while everything else gets set up. Now Fumi will figure out how to chop off the tortoise's head. Soon after, the preparations kick off. That night, now Fumi and his party gather around a fire to stay warm. While they're hanging out, Ost quickly realizes that Risha has a crush on Itsuki. That's why she's so eager for his approval. Just then, they hear the roar of the spirit tortoise, signaling that it's active again. The next day, the military gathers and starts moving toward the spirit tortoise. The shadow agent watching over Melty is there to help out in the fight. Eclair takes charge of the cavalry since she's a skilled instructor. As the soldiers set off, now Fumi plants the shield hero's flag on his wagon, which really pumps up the troops. They all cheer when they see the flag. Just seeing the shield hero riding with them boosts their spirits. Now Fumi feels good about motivating the soldiers, but he plans to use the flag as a signal for when he's about to summon the multicaster weapon, telling everyone to clear the area. As they get closer to the tortoise, now Fumi uses the hate reaction spell to lure the bat monsters away, clearing a path for the troops. They manage to draw the tortoise to their desired spot. The tortoise turns out to be a massive beast. Soon, now Fumi and his crew run into a swarm of bat monsters. Ost steps out of the wagon and uses her gravity spell to take them out. It's the first time Naofumi and his team have seen such a spell. She explains that only a few monsters can use it. The troops in charge of the siege weapons start firing at the tortoise. Despite everything they throw at it, the beast keeps coming. The shadow agent updates Naofumi on the mission, saying the fort preparations are done and the bomb squad is ready. The tortoise takes out all the bomb squad members except the leader. The leader manages to set off the bomb, and the fort collapses on the tortoise as planned, but he loses his life in the process. They head over to where the tortoise is. Suddenly, Ost feels a sharp pain in her head. She realizes that the tortoise can still use its long-range weapons even if it's down. She figures this out because she's close to it. Naofumi tells the troops to get back right away. They start to retreat, but some get hit by the tortoise's attack. Eclair then orders her troops to charge straight at the tortoise, knowing it won't hurt itself and isn't attacking nearby. The best spot for them is closer to the tortoise. Along with the shield hero, Eclair's troops charge at the tortoise. Naofumi signals that they should activate the multicaster magic. Raphtalia is shocked when she hears this. Naofumi says they have no choice but to use the weapon. This is their only shot against the scary beast. If the caster doesn't take it down, it should at least make a hole they can use. There's also the worry that Ost will vanish the moment they kill the tortoise. Ost tells Naofumi she doesn't care. She's ready to do whatever it takes to see the tortoise defeated. That's why she came to ask the shield hero for help. Just then, a mutated familiar pops up from the ground. Naofumi is still figuring out what to do when the troops show up. They tell Naofumi and his crew not to stress about the familiar and just focus on taking down the tortoise. Ost gives the troops a magical shield to protect them from the familiar. Naofumi and his team reach the tortoise just as it gets hit by the multicaster. This creates a hole in its neck. Naofumi throws a strong shield into the exposed area. Ost uses a spell to make the shield bigger so it can penetrate the tortoise's skin better. Philo and Raphtalia go after the tortoise and deliver the final blow that chops off its head. The shout of victory rings out among the troops when the tortoise goes down, but Naofumi and his team feel sad that Ost is gone now that the tortoise is defeated. Risha is already in tears because she got close to Ost. Just then, they look back and see Ost staring at them. She tells them it looks like the spirit tortoise hasn't been defeated yet. That's the only logical reason she's still alive. Next, Risha shares with the group why she loves Itsuki. She explains that she was born into a poor noble family, but the people in her area were nice to her and her parents. Everything was going smoothly until one day when a noble from another town came along, imposed heavy taxes on her family, and they couldn't pay. This wicked noble decided to take Risha as payment and locked her up. But then, Itsuki came to her rescue and protected her. He also punished the evil noble and helped her parents. Risha says this is why she wants to repay Itsuki for what he did. She wants to do something that the bow hero will appreciate. After she finishes her story, Naofumi shows up to tell the group they'll be leaving the next day to head to the tortoise's back. The next day, the team sets off for their mission. They find out they're going to the tortoise's body, which is said to have the ability to come back to life even after its head is cut off. That's why they need to find a weak spot on its back and finish it off before it can revive. Philo mentions that the troops are already saying nice things about Ost, recognizing her efforts to protect the soldiers. They soon arrive at the tortoise. They'll need to climb it since it's massive. They pass some soldiers who greet Ost warmly. Ost wonders why they're so nice to her when they know her job is to steal souls. Philo and the other girls explain that they're grateful to her for saving their lives and understand she's just doing her job. No hard feelings. After walking for a while, Naofumi suggests they set up camp for the night. The old lady says Naofumi is brave for wanting to camp on a monster's back. He explains he doesn't want them to get worn out before reaching their target. While they rest, Ost encourages Risha to do her best by the shield hero's side, since it indirectly helps the bow hero too. Just then, Ost feels a sharp pain in her head. Naofumi notices that the fog that was everywhere earlier has cleared, revealing a clear path, and the group continues their journey. The next morning, they reach a settlement where the tortoise has caused a lot of destruction, and there are no survivors. It's a tough moment for the team and the soldiers who came to check things out. The queen is also there. The Shadow Squad soon reports back about a temple they found. There are no survivors, but they want the queen to see something. They discover that the shrine was dedicated to the spirit tortoise, but there's no sign that the seal inside was broken. They find a wall with inscriptions about the tortoise, which is seen as the guardian spirit of the world. Naofumi is impressed that Risha can read the words on the wall. The queen mentions they might have found something she's actually good at. The old lady defends her, saying she has some great skills. She can manipulate ki, but she just needs more practice. They soon spot another writing on the wall. This one's in Japanese, and the people in this world call it the hero's alphabet because they can't read it. Naofumi checks it out. He says the writing is faded, but he can make out 3 words: seal, seventh, and shatter. Ost says she can read it too, and seems to have figured something out. Just then, the building starts to fall apart, and they quickly run out before they get trapped. Ost tells the team she now has an idea on how to beat the tortoise. They need to go inside its body and destroy the heart. There's a path inside the temple that will lead them to the heart. Once they destroy the heart, everything will be over. Naofumi then picks who will follow him from the group. He calls on Philo, Raphtalia, Ost, and Risha to come with him into the temple, while the others handle the troops. As they go deeper into the tortoise's body, they run into some adventurers. The adventurers say the queen sent them to check things out. Naofumi senses something's off. Raphtalia casts a spell to figure out who the adventurers are. They're shocked to find out that the three adventurers are actually Berg, Therese, and Glass. Ost is having a moment of realization. She's wondering why she even cares about the soldiers and the locals. She's supposed to be this cold tortoise familiar who just does what it wants without any guilt. It's weird for her to feel anything at all. When she snaps back to reality, she finds out that they've just learned about Therese, Berg, and Glass. Naofumi tells Ost and Risha that this trio are heroes from another world who plan to take down the four cardinal heroes. Berg surprises Naofumi by saying they're not there to fight. Instead, they're actually there to take on the tortoise and the person controlling it. So, Berg and the others are on their side this time. It turns out the person who broke the seal is from the same world as Berg and the others. This mysterious person wants the tortoise's power for themselves, purely for their own gain. That's why Berg and his crew decided to get involved. They might have their own plans against the four cardinal heroes, but the culprit doesn't care about one world or another. They just want to cause chaos. Berg suggests they team up to fight the beast and take down the culprit, but Naofumi isn't having it. He says he's not ready to team up with people he might end up needing to kill. He doesn't care what they do, as long as they go their own way. Berg and his group don't push back and just leave Naofumi and his crew. Outside, the queen has filled the generals in on the shield heroes' plan. They need to gear up and stop the tortoise from moving forward, while Naofumi and his team figure out how to destroy its heart and end the beast for good. The tortoise is already regenerating super fast. As they keep going inside the tortoise, Ost is starting to remember a lot, and she's the one guiding them in the right direction. Naofumi also mentions that Glass looks different now. He points out that she's wearing a new outfit, and that's a bit concerning. They soon find a spot with a blue hourglass inside. This hourglass is not like any regular one. It shows how many souls the tortoise has collected. Once it's full, the tortoise will create a barrier to protect the world from the waves. Meanwhile, Berg and his crew have reached the tortoise's heart and are getting ready to destroy it. They want to take out the heart to free the guardian beast from the monster tortoise's hold. As they continue through the tortoise's body, Ost feels guilty about everything she's had to do. She can't shake off the memory of the soldier's smiles, and it hurts her to think about how many smiles she's taken away in the past. Raphtalia and Risha try to comfort her, telling her not to stress because she's just doing her job. They soon arrive at a place that seems to lead to the beast's mouth. Ost uses her power to open another path, saying this new route goes to the tortoise's heart. They finally reach the turtle's heart and meet the guy controlling it. He introduces himself as Kyo, the wielder of the book's vassal weapon. Ost attacks, but her strikes don't work since they're not facing his real body. Kyo tells Naofumi and the others that he knows Berg and his team are looking for him. He's made several fake hearts around the tortoise's body to keep them busy. Naofumi quickly demands that Kyo give back control of the tortoise and return the souls he's taken. Kyo just laughs and isn't interested in complying. Ost warns him that the people of this world will fight back against him. Not wanting to argue anymore, Kyo disappears. After he vanishes, the heart's defense system kicks in and attacks Naofumi and his crew, but he protects them with his shield. Philo goes after the heart, which affects Ost. She tells them not to worry about her and to keep attacking the heart. Raphtalia joins Philo, and they unleash a flurry of attacks on the heart, slicing it in half. At that moment, Ost passes out and Risha starts crying. Just then, Ost comes back to life, which is a letdown because destroying the heart doesn't even kill the tortoise. However, Ost remembers everything about herself and the spirit tortoise. Ost realizes the spirit tortoise is about to wake up, so she quickly creates a portal for them to escape. Berg and his crew realize too late that the tortoise is coming back to life. Naofumi and his team reach the deepest part of the tortoise and find Kyo there as well. Kyo tells them they've been going about it all wrong. He reveals that Ost is not just the tortoise's familiar, she's actually connected to the tortoise's core. Basically, she's the spirit tortoise itself. They could have ended everything by just killing her, he says. Kyo explains that Ost hasn't been able to take control because the tortoise has regenerated its head and heart. He tells the team they need to destroy both at the same time to have any chance of winning. Then Kyo drops a bombshell. He's got Itsuki and the other two heroes locked up, using them as a power source for the tortoise, which is why it's regenerating so quickly. The tortoise gets ready to wreak havoc and starts launching long-range attacks at the troops, but Vittoria shows up just in time to block everything. Vittoria attacks the tortoise while also talking to Naofumi's group through Philo. She says she'll handle the tortoise's head while they go after the heart, and they need to time it perfectly to hit both at once. Kyo says he'll just stop them from reaching the heart, and there's now a barrier around it too. Suddenly, Berg and his crew burst in. Kyo laughs at them for finally figuring out where the real heart is after wasting so much time. Berg mentions their vassal weapons are warning them against doing something gross, but Kyo insists he's not a slave to his weapon and will do whatever he wants. He casts a spell and summons a giant fiery bird. They try to attack Kyo, but he's got a barrier protecting him, powered by the 3 cardinal heroes. Outside, the queen realizes Vittoria can't fight at full strength with the military around. She tells the troops to retreat and let Vittoria do her thing. Vittoria is super powerful, and the tortoise is really struggling to even hit her. Kyo uses gravity magic to pin down the group so they can't move. He walks over to Naofumi and starts kicking him in the head, knowing there's nothing they can do. This breaks Philo and Raphtalia's hearts, but they're stuck. Just then, Risha finds newfound strength and manages to break free from the gravity spell. She calls Kyo out for being just like her. She calls Kyo weak, saying he relies on others' strength. Kyo gets mad and attacks Risha multiple times, but she survives it all. He's shocked to see her still standing after everything he threw at her. Risha comes after Kyo, and that freaks him out. While Kyo is busy fighting Risha, Ost takes the chance to give Naofumi the tortoise's power so he can break free. He does, and Ost opens a portal for Berg and his crew to reach the tortoise's core. Naofumi tells Philo to stick with Berg and his team, since she's the only one who can talk to Vittoria. Kyo wants to go after them, but Risha stops him. Now, he's stuck with Naofumi and his crew. Naofumi figures out that Risha can move because she can manipulate ki. Kyo stands no chance against her as she slices through everything he throws at her. She looks like a totally different person. She even breaks the wall holding the cardinal heroes. Ost then begs Naofumi to end her life while there's still time. Outside, the queen activates a multi-caster weapon to attack the tortoise. Vittoria uses this moment to take out the head. While that's happening, Berg and his team manage to break the barrier around the core. They think it's over until Kyo reveals he has a backup plan. He's now using the power of souls to defend the core. Earlier, Ost told Naofumi she was sure Kyo had a plan, and that he should destroy her when they find out what it is. Just then, Naofumi tries to activate the rage shield, but realizes he has no hate for Kyo. They think it's done until Ost activates the power she put inside the shield earlier. A bright light bursts from the shield, creating a powerful blast that cuts through the core like butter. It's so bright that everyone in the area can see it. Kyo tells them he's already achieved his goal. He has a glass vial with the stolen souls. He creates a portal and escapes before anyone can grab him. Ost is now lying on the floor, life slowly fading. She tells Naofumi not to use the rage shield again. Berg and his team then use the same portal Kyo escaped through. Before leaving, they promise to beat Kyo and get back the stolen souls. Naofumi tries to follow them, but he realizes he can't. The cardinal heroes can't invade another world. Ost then gives Naofumi what he needs to bypass that restriction. He and his team can now invade another world under certain conditions. Naofumi and his crew jump into the portal before it closes. As they leave, Ost finally dies and turns into golden dust. The tortoise's body also disappears, and the land turns green. In the next scene, Naofumi wakes up in a cell. Risha and Raphtalia are there with him, but Philo is nowhere to be found. They discover that their levels have reset to level 1, and Raphtalia looks smaller than before. Naofumi's shield has changed too. They notice the cell door is open, and there are no guards around. They make their way to the entrance and step outside, finding themselves on a weird beach. The ocean is in front of them, and a thick forest is behind. Since they can't go into the ocean, they decide to head into the forest instead. As they walk through, they're worried about not finding Philo. Their main goal is to locate her. Suddenly, a monster made of cardboard pops out from the trees and attacks them. Naofumi lets the cardboard bite his arm so Raphtalia can easily take it down. After that, Naofumi uses a fragment to level himself up. Raphtalia levels up too. It feels like the first season when they were taking down monster balloons. Naofumi tells the girls they need to defeat more monsters to boost their levels a bit. After battling a bunch of low-level monsters all day, the girls get tired and decide to drink some water from a lake. While they're doing this, a kappa jumps out of the water. Naofumi jumps in front of the monster to protect the girls. He takes a hit from the kappa, but is okay with it since the girls are still low level, and he doesn't want to put them in danger. Just when the monster is about to take out Raphtalia, a mysterious helper shows up to help them. She casts a spell and takes down the monster. She introduces herself as Kizuna, one of the cardinal heroes, and her title is the Hunting Hero. They're both surprised to learn they're both cardinal heroes but haven't heard of each other's titles before. She tells them to follow her so she can help with their wounds. Kizuna takes them back to her place, which is the same cell they woke up in. Apparently, she found them when they landed in this world and took care of them. She explains that she's been separated from her teammates since she got kidnapped by an enemy country and locked up. Naofumi asks if she knows about the waves, but she says no. She mentions she was summoned to this world for a different reason. Naofumi is shocked because Berg and the others know about the waves. Kizuna gets curious when Naofumi mentions Berg and Glass. She rushes over to him and says that Glass is her best friend. Naofumi starts to doubt Kizuna when he hears she's friends with Glass, who he sees as a monster. Kizuna invites the group to eat. Naofumi hesitates to eat the food she offers. Kizuna reminds him that she saved his life, so she wouldn't hurt him. She pulls pulls out her cardinal weapon and attacks Naofumi with it, cutting his neck, but he doesn't feel any pain. She explains that her weapon can attack but can't actually hurt anyone. This makes Naofumi and his friends trust her enough to eat her food. Kizuna provides raw ingredients and Naofumi ends up cooking. Raphtalia is going to eat more since she's still growing. Naofumi shares their plans to leave, but Kizuna tells them they can't. They're in a prison, the Infinite Labyrinth, which is a temporal prison. Once you're in, you can never get out. She lost track of time after the first few years, but hasn't given up because she's still looking for a way out. She promises to show them around when morning comes and assures them there are no monsters that can get in. The next day, Kizuna takes the group to a building on the island. She's cleared it of monsters before and thinks it might have a way out, but she hasn't found it yet. She shows them a portal that looks like it could lead out, but it's blocked. Naofumi suggests that it might not be an exit, but definitely a glitch. Kizuna then gives Naofumi the seed he asked her to make. He uses his power to make the seed grow super fast, and it breaks through the glitch. Naofumi and his friends, including Kizuna, quickly jump into it. They soon find themselves in a different place, and Kizuna recognizes it as the world where she was summoned. She hugs Naofumi and thanks him for the help, then hugs Raphtalia and Risha too. She's really happy that she's not alone anymore. The group heads deeper into the countryside. Kizuna realizes there's a countdown to the waves, which are only 10 days away. She reveals they're in the country that locked her up, and they need to escape before they get caught again. They plan to go to the country that summoned Kizuna, called Sikul. Kizuna mentions she has a teleportation ability, but needs a special tool to use it, the Dragon Hourglass. Naofumi is surprised they can use the hourglass for that in this world. They'll have to make their way to the church where the hourglass is kept while avoiding capture. Kizuna says it'll take them 3 days to reach the hourglass, and they can level up and buy supplies along the way. When they reach a village, Kizuna tells Naofumi about the different races in the country. There are elves, demi-humans like Raphtalia, and spirit people. Glass is a spirit person, which explains her power. However, they heal naturally, and magic or healing items don't work on them. Naofumi figures out why his Soul Eater shield does more damage to Glass. The area looks more like a Japanese setting with their clothing and culture. They need a place to rest and eat. Kizuna offers to sell some drop items she doesn't need to cover their expenses. That night, Naofumi tells the group he has soul-soothing potions that help recover SP, which the spirit people will definitely want to buy. They plan to get started on that the next day. The next day, Naofumi and his friends put on masks and sit in a public spot to promote their products. It doesn't take long before spirit people swarm in and buy everything. They sell out quickly and promise to bring more the next day. The following day, they use an auction method to raise a ton of money selling the potions. Everyone wants them, and they keep raising the price until the highest bidder wins. They manage to gather a lot of funds, enough to buy new weapons and armor. They get a pass and head to the capital. They arrive in the capital and see a crowd gathered in front of a building. They start to wonder if the authorities have found out that Kizuna escaped from prison. They ask someone in the crowd what's going on. The person tells them that a genius mage from another country has figured out how regular folks can use the hourglass. Only heroes could use it before, but now this mage has made it possible for everyone. The crowd is there for a demonstration. Naofumi thinks the genius mage must be Kyo. They're surprised when someone who isn't Kyo comes out of the building. The crowd calls him Kazuki. From the way he talks, Naofumi realizes Kazuki is just as nasty as Kyo. The group decides to find a place to stay for the night. The girls play in the snow before heading to their room. They have 6 days until the waves hit. Naofumi says they need to find Philo and take down Kyo before then. They can't afford to waste any time. Plus, Raphtalia and Risha aren't back to their usual strength. Naofumi is also stuck using a sword that's only good for defense. Kizuna's vassal weapon can't hurt humans. Looks like they have a lot to deal with. Since time is tight, they plan to head to the hourglass that night. Kizuna just needs to touch the glass, and they'll warp straight to Sickle. That night, they make their way to the hourglass. When they get there, they find nothing. Before they know it, they're surrounded by guards. It seems like they've walked into a trap. They manage to fight through the guards and escape. Kizuna says the hourglass is in the center of the mansion, and that's where they need to go. They search the place and finally find the hourglass, but Kazuki and his crew are there too. Naofumi and his friends are surrounded by guards. Kazuki reveals he's working for Kyo, who has tasked him with capturing them, dead or alive. Naofumi uses his shield to take out the guards and tells Kizuna to go to the hourglass. Kizuna reaches the hourglass and activates it. The effects hit all of them. Suddenly, it disappears from Raphtalia, and they hear Kyo's voice at the same time. He laughs at them. Once the teleportation spell is activated, it can't be stopped. Kyo reveals he's taking Raphtalia to his lab for experiments. Naofumi, Risha, and Kizuna leave while Raphtalia is left behind. The trio makes it to the other side, which is Sickle, but Naofumi is really mad that they had to leave Raphtalia behind. He wants Kizuna to take them back, but she finds out that the device is shut down on the other end. She tells Naofumi to chill out. She knows someone who can help them. Just then, two guys who know Kizuna show up. They're surprised to see her back. She tells them to get someone named Ethnobalt for her. Meanwhile, Philo is being messed with by a slave merchant. Kizuna starts talking to the priests about how she was locked up by their neighboring nation. They see it as a sign of trouble that needs to be reported right away. Kizuna tells them Naofumi helped her escape the labyrinth. She mentions that Naofumi is also a cardinal hero from another world. As soon as she says this, the priest calls for the guards. They're scared that Naofumi is there to wreck their world. Kizuna insists Naofumi can't do that because he's actually the one who helped her escape. Naofumi isn't ready to hear their nonsense. He's still really angry. He starts to walk away, but a white-haired guy stops him. Kizuna calls him Ethnobalt. Looks like he's the guy she was talking about. Ethnobalt is the one who wields the boat vassal weapon, and he's a hero too. Kizuna reunites with her Shikigami, Chris. She reveals that she and Glass made the Shikigami, which will help them find Glass. Naofumi can also make one to locate Raftalia and Philo. All he needs is his tomato sauce and something to act as a Shikigami catalyst. The catalyst can just be a strand of hair. Naofumi has a strand of Raftalia's hair in his shield. He takes it out, leaving him with just the tomato sauce. The ritual to create the Shikigami begins. It's quicker than usual, and the Shikigami forms in no time, surprising Ethnobalt because it's not supposed to be that fast. The Shikigami forms and appears as a small fox. Naofumi can see Rafatalia's eyes through the Shikigami. The fact that the Shikigami was created means the person who owns the catalyst is still alive and doing okay. Naofumi is eager to start the journey to find Rafatalia right away. Just then, he notices something weird about Ethnobalt. Ethnobalt transforms into a rabbit right in front of them. Kizuna explains that Ethnobalt is from a monster species and doesn't like showing his rabbit side to others. By revealing this, it means he now trusts Naofumi. Ethnobalt's boat will take them to the person they're looking for. The group heads to a flat area so Ethnobalt can summon his boat. The boat turns out to be bigger than Naofumi expected. They pull out a map and have Chris and the new Shikigami point to their target's location. They discover that both Glass and Rafatalia are being held in the same spot. The boat's teleportation kicks in, and they quickly arrive at their destination. They land the boat on the outskirts to stay under the radar. Ethnobalt will wait for their signal. As they walk through the town, Naofumi hears a familiar voice and rushes back to check it out. They see a circus performer mistreating Philo, using her as entertainment for the crowd. Naofumi gets mad and is about to make a scene, but his friends remind him they're on a secret mission. They decide to sneak in later that night to rescue Philo without her getting hurt. That night, they sneak into the place where the performer is keeping his merchandise. They find Philo in her bird form locked in a cage. They manage to break the spell that's keeping her from transforming, and she happily reunites with her master. The entertainer shows up while they're rescuing Philo. Naofumi uses his shield's power to create a mental illusion for the entertainer, leaving him in mental pain. He confesses he's the son of a noble and is just using the sideshow to make extra cash. He reveals that his father gave Philo to him after finding her unconscious. The team suspects Kyo must have been the one who handed Philo over to the noble. Since there are no Philolials in this world, Philo has been assigned to the fairy species. The next day, Philo meets Rafatalia's Shikigami and decides to name the beast Raf. They find out they're now wanted, but the pictures of them aren't great because it was dark. Suddenly, Naofumi realizes that Raftalia's stats have vanished from his view. He can't access her slave crest either. In the next scene, Raftalia gets taken to a cell where her powers are pretty much useless. She looks back and sees that Berg and his buddies are in the same cell with her. They're all surprised to find each other there. The trio reveals that everything that happened was Kyo's doing. He tricked them into following him through the portal and then separated them. Berg and his crew ended up in prison while Raftalia, Naofumi, and Risha got sent to the labyrinth. They decide to team up to escape from Kyo. Glass is super mad when she finds out her friend has been stuck in the labyrinth this whole time. She thanks Raftalia for saving Kizuna and promises to help get her back to Naofumi too. Berg explains that the prison they're in is called the Prison of Exhaustion. It constantly drains their powers, thanks to the talisman the guards wear. But the trio still has their weapons because you can't take them away from the person using them. The same goes for the cardinal weapons. Raftalia asks if they can still use their abilities even though they're weakened, and the trio says yes. Raftalia then uses her illusion magic to trick the guards into thinking they've escaped. As soon as the guards walk in, they grab the talisman from one of them and use that chance to escape before getting caught. Naofumi can't wait to be back with his master. The group decides to try to level up Raftalia before they meet up with Naofumi. They find a jewel to sell and buy some food to eat. Raftalia needs to eat a lot to keep functioning. After that, they head to the forest for some training. Raftalia grows a bit during the training. As she gets bigger, Glass offers to make her a new kimono. That night, Therese and Berg keep watch while Glass makes the kimono kimono for Raftalia. They know half the town will be searching for them, so they have to be careful. The next morning, Berg and the others find out that a new hero is about to emerge in their world. This hero will wield the katana vassal weapon, and they're looking for the right person to take that role. Glass mentions that having a hero around can shift the military balance between nations. Berg wants to attend the installation ceremony to see who gets chosen as the rightful wielder of the weapon. When they arrive at the event, Berg tells Raftalia that the weapon picks its own wielder. A bunch of adventurers have tried to use it but couldn't. The next person called up is Kazuki, and Raftalia is stunned when she sees him. As soon as Kazuki touches the weapon, it vanishes from his hand. Raftalia ends up with the katana, and it totally surprises her. She tries to get rid of it, but there's no way to do that. Once you have a vassal weapon, you can't lose it. She bolts from the scene before the guards can catch her. She also realizes her slave crest is gone. Suddenly, she gains weight and reaches her adult size as a demi-human. Raftalia keeps running while the guards chase her down. She's determined to survive and find Naofumi. She makes it to the front of a building that looks like a shrine. Just then, a woman comes out to help her. The woman says her clan has been serving the katana vassal weapon for generations. Raftalia still can't believe she's a hero, but the woman reassures her that the weapon chose her and doesn't mess up. She puts hero clothes on Raftalia. Raftalia thanks her and says goodbye, then steps outside to find Kazuki and the guards waiting for her. Raftalia tells Kazuki to scram because she doesn't want any trouble, but he's not having it. He accuses Raftalia of stealing the sword from him. He goes after her, but she takes him down without even moving. Then, two tigers controlled by Kazuki show up. Raftalia figures out the tigers are just like the spirit tortoise. Kazuki brags that he's in charge of the holy beasts. He sends them after Raftalia, but she easily cuts them down. She begs Kazuki again to stop trying to hurt her. Raftalia slices Kazuki in a way that keeps him from moving. If he tries to budge, he'll get sliced in half. He'll be free once a mage heals him. Before she leaves, Raftalia tells him to pass a message to Kyo. The shield hero is coming for revenge. Raftalia reaches the bottom of the stairs but is already feeling weak. Another guardian beast shows up to attack her, but Naofumi arrives just in time to block the tiger's strike. Philo and Kizuna finish off the beast. Raftalia is super happy to see her friends again. Naofumi tells her she's free now that her slave crest is gone. After reuniting, Kizuna can't wait to take on the waves. She has no idea what the waves look like since she was brought here to take down the Dragon King. They've got 3 days until the waves show up. Philo can now fly because of the changes in this world, but she's lost most of her fighting skills. Meanwhile, Kazuki makes a move when he shouldn't and gets sliced in half. One of Kyo's associates asks if they can take out the shield and katana heroes. Now Fumi and the others send a message to Ethnobalt to come pick them up. The 3 vassal heroes reunite with them, and Glass is super happy to see Kizuna. Kizuna gets mad when she learns her friends traveled to Naofumi's world to try and kill them. She sees her friends as the bad guys. While she's ranting, Berg gets called away. Naofumi's group finds out that Berg is the king of Sukul. Kizuna continues, telling her friends she'll find a way to save both their world and Naofumi's. She insists it's wrong for them to plan to destroy Naofumi's world, and promises Naofumi she wants to help him beat Kyo. Meanwhile, Kyo has taken Kazuki's body to his lab, claiming he can bring Kazuki back to life. He's put Kazuki in a tube filled with some kind of fluid. The next day, the team heads out to gear up for their fight against Kyo. They stop by a weapon shop where the owner, Romina, is shocked to see Kizuna after so many years. Kizuna gets straight to the point, saying they need the best gear Romina can offer. She shows her samples of what they need and tells her they want everything done in one night. Suddenly, they hear a commotion outside. When they check it out, they run into Kyo's associate, Yomoji, who's there to take them out for Kyo. They're surprised she's come alone to fight them. She attacks, but they don't take her seriously until they realize she's actually strong. Her sword looks super powerful with how it moves and the damage it does. Berg and his buddy jump in to help, pushing Yomoji back. She's already panting from exhaustion, but isn't ready to give up. She powers up her sword again. The group realizes something's off with the sword because of how it moves and behaves. They ask Yomoji where she got it, and she says Kyo made it for her. They tell her to ditch the sword right away since it gives them a bad vibe. Just then, the sword starts acting weird. It suddenly grows these attachments and tries to wrap around Yomoji, but Kizuna jumps in and cuts them off. The other heroes join in with their combo attacks until the sword is finally destroyed. After that, Kizuna tries to have a calm chat with Yomoji. She learns that Kyo wants to kill her, and the heroes using the sword. The sword would have killed her too, even if she managed to take out the heroes. Yomoji doesn't buy it because she sees Kyo as a good guy. She insists Kyo is just trying to achieve a simple goal, finding a way to stop the waves. Later, Kizuna and the group follow Yomogi to Kizuna's house. Kizuna wants to convince Yomoji to share what she knows. Now Fumi feels uneasy about Yomoji because of Kyo's past actions. Kyo has killed a lot of people, including Ost. He thinks they shouldn't treat Yomoji like a friend, and walks away. The rest of the group leaves too, leaving Kizuna alone with Yomoji. Once they're in her room, Kizuna frees Yomoji's hands to make her comfy. Yomoji relaxes and starts chatting easily with Kizuna. She reveals that Kyo was her childhood friend. He was a loner and didn't talk much. He's been a genius since he was young, always reading about the waves and other stuff. He's always wanted to find a way to stop the waves. Yomoji then tells Kizuna she's ready to fight with them if they have a real plan to stop Kyo. Kizuna reassures her that they just want to defeat him to talk, not to kill him. The next day, Naofumi and his crew head to the weapon shop to pick up their gear. While they're there, they notice the wave countdown suddenly hits 0, and the waves show up out of nowhere. Kyo is in his lab messing around with some stuff. While the team is still trying to figure things out, Ethnobolt shows up with his boat and tells everyone to hop in. Yomoji then spills the beans that the waves are Kyo's doing. He used the power he got from the spirit tortoise to call up the waves. She thought Kyo was trying to stop them, so she's been helping him. Now she feels like a fool and is ready to team up with everyone to take down Kyo. Naofumi tells Yomogi to take him to Kyo so he can defeat him. She leads Naofumi, Philo, Raftalia, and Risha to Kyo's lab, while the others stay back to fight off the monsters that are showing up in droves. When they get into the lab, they find humans fused with copies of guardian beasts. These guys are now chimeras. The chimeras are Kazuki's crew, and they're there to take down Naofumi and his friends because of what happened to Kazuki. The girls are swinging the same kind of swords Yomogi had earlier. Naofumi is shocked that Kyo managed to convince the girls to be sacrificial pawns. The chimeras attack, but Raftalia takes them out with one swing. A chain reaction kicks off with the swords, and Naofumi realizes they're about to blow up. He quickly creates layers of shields to protect himself and his friends. The swords explode, but Naofumi and his crew are safe. Just then, Kyo shows up with Kazuki. They figure out that this isn't the real Kazuki. Kyo has taken someone else's soul and shoved it into Kazuki's dead body. The soul inside Kazuki is that of the Mirror Hero. Kyo leaves the Mirror Hero to deal with the group. Raftalia tells Naofumi to let them handle the zombie while he goes after Kyo. Naofumi and Risha chase after Kyo, who's just chilling in a room, mocking them. He even threatens to go back to their world and take out Fitoria to grab her power too. Everything he says just ticks Naofumi off, making him angrier. He gets so mad that he activates the Rage Shield. Kyo keeps poking at him to make him angrier. Naofumi gets so worked up that the Rage Shield starts to take over. Risha tries to keep Naofumi in check, but there's not much she can do. She tries to get close to him, but he grabs her neck and starts saying hurtful stuff. Kyo is loving this. His plan is going perfectly. After Naofumi says all the nasty things he wants, Risha tells him she doesn't blame him. She's even glad to know what Naofumi really thinks of her, but she's sure that Naofumi cares about Philo and Raftalia. She urges him to pull himself together for those two girls. With her words, Naofumi starts to regain control little by little. Kyo is furious that Risha has messed up his plans. Kyo is trying to take out Naofumi, but Risha steps in and blocks all his attacks, reminding him that he's still weak and relying on the Spirit Tortoise's power to get by. Naofumi is struggling to regain control of himself. He finally gets a grip when Ost's spirit shows up and tells him he doesn't need the dragon's power to do what he wants. After that, Naofumi snaps back to his senses, and the anger inside him starts to fade. He opens his eyes and sees Philo and Raftalia next to him. He powers up his shield and points it at Kyo. Philo and Raftalia have taken down the zombie and got the mirror weapon. They combine the mirror weapon with Naofumi's shield to boost his power. Now he can go toe-to-toe with Kyo, even with the souls he's using for strength. Kyo gets defeated, and the waves clear up right away. The vassal book is left behind. Yomoji thanks the shield hero for taking down Kyo. After beating Kyo and getting the spirit tortoise power back, Naofumi and his crew decide to stick around until the next wave hits, so they can ride it home. But then they realize they're about to be sent back to their world, since their mission is done. The countdown starts, and their bodies begin to glow. Kizuna thanks Naofumi as he and his friends head back home. Once they're back, the queen rewards Naofumi with the title of Viscount for defeating the spirit tortoise. Naofumi also finds out that the three cardinal heroes teamed up to take down the last wave that showed up. Next up, Naofumi and his crew decide to take a fun trip. They stop by a river to eat and chill out. Philo and Raftalia chat about how they miss Kizuna. Risha still can't start a fire because she won't learn survival skills from Kizuna. Philo wishes she could still fly in this world. After that, the girls hit up a store to pick out dresses they think Naofumi will dig. They spend hours sifting through the clothes. Finally, they choose a dress for each other and step out to show Naofumi. They ask him to pick the best one, but he ends up talking about stats and attack power. Meanwhile, Yomoji and Kizuna are out fishing. While they're at it, they keep chatting about Naofumi and his friends. Kizuna shares her memories of the island where she was trapped. When she first got there, she was all pumped up and determined to escape. She started getting used to island life, catching fish and eating them. But soon, she got tired of plain fish and added some salt. After that, she built a boat to see if there was a way out on the horizon. When she got there, it turned out to be another dead end. She got really frustrated and even thought about ending it all, but she couldn't go through with it. To keep herself company, she made a mannequin to talk to. She told the mannequin everything she wanted to do and even asked if she should spice up her food. Eventually, she started cooking up tasty meals with the stuff she found on the island. One day, while patrolling the island, she saw Naofumi and his crew coming in like shooting stars. That's how she met Naofumi and his friends, who later helped her escape the island. With that, she wraps up her story for Yomoji. Yomoji then admits she's slowly forgetting Kyo's face. even though they grew up together. Kizuna encourages her to remember the good times instead of the sad ones. Yomoji recalls a moment in the lab when Kyo was looking for his glasses before he went to another world for the spirit tortoise power. That was the last time she had fun with him. After saying this, Yomoji can picture him again. She thanks Kizuna for the help. The two decide to head out before their people start searching for them. Back in Naofumi's world, Philo is trying to fly with the wagon. She's still not ready to accept that she's now a flightless bird. She wishes she could fly with the wagon instead of just pulling it. Raphitalia mentions that if Ost were still alive, she could have used her gravity magic to make Philo feel like she was flying. They remember the night Ost was giving them a talk about mating, saying it's a beautiful experience, and that Raphitalia has been wanting to mate with Naofumi since then. Even Philo wants to mate with Naofumi. The group soon reaches a spot to honor Ost. They toss flowers off the cliff in tribute to Ost and her sacrifice. As they start to leave, Naofumi looks back and sees Ost's spirit smiling at them. He smiles back as he says goodbye to her.